Loudon, New Hampshire may well prove to be Kenny Wallace's least favorite track, as characterized by this, the first of two crashes Wallace endured just 1 week ago. Involved in the closest championship race in the history of the Busch Grand National Series, Wallace's trip to New England proved to be the last thing he needed. Now, with 2 fractured ribs, Kenny will turn to his brother Rusty to help him maintain contact with points leader Bobby Labonte. A year-long struggle may conclude today on the surface of North Carolina Motor Speedway as 42 Busch Grand National cars roar at the Rock. Live from Rockingham, North Carolina, T&N Motorsports presents the AC-Delco 200. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and I'm with one of the men of the moment. He is Kenny Wallace, qualified in the 12th spot. Kenny, everyone wants to know, how are you physically?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. You know, I got a couple cracked ribs, and I don't have all the savvy I've been working all these years to get. So I think the best thing to do is, go ahead and put Rusty in the car under the first caution, and we're trying to win this championship. We're 42 points behind, and it's only the best thing to do right now.
There was a little talk of some dizziness from a mild concussion. What about that?
Equilibrium's off just a little bit. I'm not dizzy. I just don't have all my act together, my balancing and stuff like that. Sometimes, I let off the gas, and it's not exactly when I wanted to let off the gas. So we're safe. I'm not going to do nothing stupid. If I fall back a little bit, there's nothing to get worried about, just playing it safe.
Good luck, young man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's see how his older brother feels about all of this. Rusty, how much seat time do you have in this car?
Well, I've got a lot in it. I've done all the practice and all the qualifying, and we've stuffed Kenny in a couple different times just to make sure he's up to speed. So it's a weird deal. I never thought I'd have to be filling as a driver with two races to go in a big championship hunt, but I got to bail us out. Kenny's did a great job all year long, and if he looks good the first couple laps, he might stay in, but he's not confident. I think he'll be getting out pretty quick.
Good luck to both of you.
Thank you very much.
All right now let's go to my good pal Brock Yates with the other half of this championship chase.
Oh, boy, Steve, what a drama it is. I'm with the number 44 Oldsmobile driver, Bobby Labonte, from the great Texas racing family. Now, here's the deal. As Kenny said, he's 42 points ahead. He's going to start way up in the 4th position on the grid. But I think the big question, Bobby, is you can ice it today, theoretically, if you win this race and Kenny finishes 41st or farther back. Are you going to try to go for the victory or just hang in there, gather up some points, and then hopefully finish him off next week at Martinsville?
Well, we're going to try to get our Penrose Oldsmobile comfortable enough to run up front all day, and if it's not, we'll just have to run as fast as we can. But Carl Wagner built us a great V6 here. All the guys have done a great job this week. It's just a matter of how the car feels and how fast we'll go, and we'll just try to be there at the end.
Okay, all the best, Bobby Labonte. And now let's go to our other broadcast partner, Glenn Jarrett.
Well, I'm alongside pole winner Ernie Irvin in the Mack Tool Chevrolet. Ernie, if there's ever a place that's great to start up front here, it's got to be at the Rock.
It sure is. This place is real treacherous on drivers and cars, and, it's a good spot to start is in the front, because if there's any trouble behind you, you're away from it.
You've had some awfully good runs in your Busch car, but you're still searching for that first victory. What's the key to winning here today?
Well, I think it's just going to be save the tires and be easy on them, and, it's hard on engines here, so Carl Wagner's gave me an excellent engine for here. We qualified on the pole with it, and, just to try to save that engine so we can have all 6 cylinders at the end of the race.
Ernie Irvin ready to start from the pole. Steve Evans.
Thank you, Glenn. And here again, you see Rusty Wallace. There's a lot of love between these two brothers. He's hoping for that early caution so he doesn't have to endure any more pain than necessary. Upstairs to Mike Joy.
Thank you, Steve, and hello, everyone. Not only the race up front, but that great Wallace-Labonte shuffle for the championship will be uppermost in our coverage today. The Rockingham racetrack is just a touch over 1 mile long, so the 200 miles of this race will encompass 197 laps. The corners here are banked between 22 and 25 degrees, 9 degrees, along the straightaways, which are not even in length due to the dogleg front straightaway that allows everyone in the front stretch grandstands a good view of the facility. That tight exit off turn number 2, the tight entry into 3, and the position of this racetrack relative to the sun all bring their own special, unique problems to racing well at the Rock. And who better to speak to those than our 2 expert commentators? Let's lead off with Neil Bonnet.
Thanks, Mike. This racetrack here at Rockingham is a lot of times compared to the racetrack at Dover, Delaware. That's because of this big banking on this 1 mile racetrack, just like Dover. But the big difference is when you come off this banking, most of the passing is going to be done right here off of turn 4. If you can get the nose up under a guy right here, it's a big advantage, because as you go down here off of this turn, there's a big dog leg on this front straightaway, just like the big super speedways. The guy on the inside's got a lot shorter run to the start-finish line. We got a big story breaking on tires. Let's go to Buddy Baker.
Neil, one of the big stories here is the radial tires. You know, the Busch Grand National guys are still getting used to the radial tires over the bias ply. They're getting down in the corner so much faster with the radial tire over the bias ply that they have to use a lot more brakes. They have to be a lot smoother with the steering wheel. It's giving some of them trouble. But it's one of the things that they'll get used to, and they'll, you know, when they adapt, they'll like them as much as we do in Winston Cup. Now, back to you, Mike.
Thanks, buddy. A tricky track and a new tire setup, all part of racing here at the Rock. TNN Motorsports live coverage of the AC-Delco 200 from Rockingham, North Carolina is brought to you by new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car. By AC-Delco, it's like buying time. And by Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. We'll be back with the start of the AC-Delco 200 right after these messages.
In America, your car is not just...
You're looking at the number 96 car driven by Tom Peck. We told you his story in our Dover coverage, sponsored by his hometown little bitty village up in Pennsylvania. Since they got all that ink, the locals are kicking in a lot more money. Didn't help Tom, however, in qualifying. He's back in the 34th position, but he specializes in coming from the rear, as we saw in Dover when he started at the back and finished in the top 10. Here's a guy who, the brother, started way much further towards the front. In the 32nd position, smiling Darrell Waltrip.
Well, it's tough seeing Tom Peck do this, so I figure if it's good for Tom, maybe it's good for me. I saw Harry Gant start way back in a lot of these races and win them, so we're taking a reversed approach today.
It works for Harry. Darrell tried to convince me it was an inverted start, but I didn't buy that. Right now, let's go to Brock Yates with a man who may forever be called Mr. September in NASCAR racing.
Well, Steve, we all know about Harry Gant and that September Panzer attack that he put on everybody. And as Darrell Waltrip said, he always started in the middle of the pack. I said earlier to Buddy Becker, well, he's going to start 14th today. And Buddy said, well, old Harry's got him just where he wants him. But I'll tell you what, Harry, I think a lot of people want to know, is this a sandbag act, or is this Buick just not capable of getting up on the pole?
It just won't qualify up very far towards the front. All year we've been 14th to the 33rd, you know, qualifying. So that's about the best I can do. Everybody must do something that we don't know, but we can't get any further than this.
Well, so far, Darrell's trying to duplicate your efforts, so we'll see how many other top guys are moving to the back. So now let's go to Glenn.
Well, starting on the outside of the front row is the man in black, Dale Earnhardt. Dale, up until this morning, a little bit of discussion about who was going to drive this Goodwrench Chevrolet today.
Well, we've been a little bit under the weather, but we got okay yesterday, feeling better last night, so we decided to go ahead and drive it. You know, it's just another race to us as far as the driving goes, but, you know, my Busch Grand National crew and the GM Goodwrench folks is behind us all the way. We want to try to win the AC-Delco 200 today.
Well, your Winston Cup car owner, Richard Childress, told me he'd much rather see you on the racetrack on Saturday afternoon than maybe on some farm equipment at home, which you have a knack for turning over.
Well, we've been pretty good on the Komatsu and the D7 Cat I got over the years, but had a little accident last week and turned one over, so Richard would rather have me in the race car, I think, than doing that.
Okay, Dale Earnhardt, much rather be here than on the farm today. Steve Evans.
All right, thank you, Glenn. You were looking at Phil Parsons driving the 29 Oldsmobile, qualified in the 23rd spot. And this car is important to all of you at home because Phil is carrying two onboard cameras. One that will pan 360 degrees, and another one we call the face cam to get all of the emotion on this handsome lad's moniker. And Phil, welcome back, first of all, and thanks for carrying the camera.
Hi, Steve. Thank you.
I'd just like to thank AutoZone, who sponsored the in-car camera, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my sponsors, WHOA TV 32 in Montgomery, Alabama, Goodyear, and Oldsmobile.
Okay, and don't scratch it up. Your wife owns it. She gets cranky.
I know it.
Okay, right now, let's go back upstairs to Mike Joy, who has this week's Haviland update on the action that took place last weekend.
Last week, Loudon, New Hampshire, lap 192. Robert Presley in 59 cut a tire and got into 72 Tracy Leslie, who collected 87 Joe Nemechek. This melee took Leslie and Nemechek out of the race and put Presley out of contention. Kenny Wallace, the series point leader, by 33 points going into the race, also had a rough day. Here's the first of 2 wrecks of the day for Wallace, who wound up in the hospital after suffering cracked ribs and a mild concussion and the loss of the point lead. Number 63, Chuck Bound, and number 7, Harry Gant, dueled with the pole sitter, Ricky Craven, in 25 for several laps. Near the end, before Craven got around Bound with just 10 laps to go. Craven was able to hang on and capture the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 at New Hampshire International Speedway. With 2 races to go, Labonte leads the points now by 42 over Kenny Wallace. Jimmy Hensley is 3rd, Chuck Bound 4th, and Robert Presley 5th. Then Joe Nemechek, Tommy Houston, Tom Peck, Todd Bodine, and Steve Grissom round out the top 10.
Only moments away from this field rolling, and I think the most nervous driver of them all is Rusty Wallace, more so than he will be tomorrow, starting his own Winston Cup car. Let's go back upstairs. Race caller, Mike Joy.
Thank you, Steve. Look at that packed grandstand here at Rockingham, North Carolina. They and 42 drivers just waiting, listening for the command.
Director of Sales and Service Parts Operations. Gentlemen, start your engine.
And with that, the field comes to life down on pit road. 42 cars, golden balloon. Set to go racing here at the track they call the Rock. Let's take a look at how they'll line up for the AC-Delco 200 this afternoon. Irvin and Earnhardt, the Winston Cuppers, share the front row in Chevy Luminous. In row 2, there's Davey Allison with a Buick, and Bobby Labonte, the point leader. Ken Schrader's in row 3 with Jeff Burton Chevrolet, Tommy Houston, and the Bill Elliott Ford in row 4. In the 5th row, Jack Sprague, along with Jimmy Hensley, number 3 point man. Last year's champ, Chuck Bound, with the points runner-up, Kenny Wallace. Dale Jarrett and Harry Gant, who both run really well here at the Rock. Todd Bodine and Tommy Ellis. Remember the fracas they had at Charlotte just a couple of weeks ago. Dave Rezendes and Joe Nemechek in row 9. Morgan Shepherd's Ford with Tracy Leslie back in row number 10. Ward Burton, who nearly won Charlotte with David Green, the Daytona pole sitter. There's Phil Parsons with our onboard camera, and Butch Miller. Robert Presley 5th in the points. Mike Wallace in the Jack Ingram car. Chuck Bound's younger brother Jim and Billy Standridge. Dick Trickle with Richie Burgess in the 15th row. Cecil Eunice from Georgia, and Darrell Waltrip. Richard Lassiter, and there's Tom Peck from Pennsylvania. Steve Grissom back in the 18th row, along with local driver Robert Huffman. Bobby Donner from Chicago, Lonnie Russ Jr. from Ohio, Mike Swaim, and Ed Berry. Provisional spots to Jeff Gordon, the rookie in the Ford, and Troy Beebe's Chevrolet. Pontiac pace car rolls them down pit road. 197 laps today at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. We'll be back with the start of the AC-Delco 200 right after this.
Tore past lives together.
From a world all around her, yeah, hey, hey, hey. She's been my inspiration, showed appreciation, hey, hey, hey.
The rain as we get set to go. They're on the first of a couple of pace laps here at Rockingham. On the pole, Ernie Irvin, 145.627 miles per hour. Broke Harry Gant's race qualifying mark, but not the overall for this, held by Dale Earnhardt. They've run this race 8 times at Rockingham, and 4 times the pole winner has won it. David Pearson in 82, Jeff Bodine in 84, his brother Brett in 85, and Harry Gant in 1988 went to the pole to victory lane. Buddy Baker, what do we look for on the first couple of laps here?
There's no telling with those 2 wild and racy guys on the front row, and then you got Dick Trickle back there coming up, Darrell Waltrip back, Harry Gant right where he wants to be, where he can make a run at him. I tell you, it's going to be a very competitive race.
And the point battle, Kenny Wallace, Neil, he's got to be hoping for an early race caution. Having had cracked ribs, that can't be a comfortable thing, even when you settle in that form-fitting seat.
Well, and especially a place like Rockingham, a lot of G's in the corner, and these guys aren't hoping any bad luck, but they need a caution early. Get him out of the car and let Rusty get in.
This will be the start. Labonte leads Wallace by 42 points. This race today in Martinsville, Virginia next Sunday, which you'll see delayed on TNN on November 10th, will determine the Busch Grand National Championship. Our 800 viewer call-in line is in operation. We'll give you that number in just a bit here and invite your questions during the running of this race. Starter at the ready, green flag. And Dale Earnhardt is on the jump. He's got a car length on Ernie Irvan and slides into the lead in turn number 1. Earnhardt and Irvan. Davey Allison slips back to the 4th spot as Bobby Labonte comes up the outside. Davey comes right at him. View from Phil Parsons' car, mid-pack. Trailing Ward Burton off into turn 3. Earnhardt to lead the first one. And Chuck Bown is way slow down to the inside of the racetrack. Leaders haul off back into 1. And look already at the lead that Earnhardt and Irvan are opening up on the field.
Well, you know, when the race started, Mike, we heard everybody saying they were going to take it easy, take care of the tires, and try to give these V6 motors to the rear, but they're going after it.
And here comes Darrell Waltrip. Started back in 32nd position. Climbed his way well up into the field. Gets a little thank you from the inside there. Out of turn number 4 from Richard Lassiter. Drops under Billy Standridge's car, working his way up through traffic. Waltrip at 17.
Boy, that car is working well. You see the way he just turned down and went under that car going down the corner. You really have to have them hooked up to do that.
Waltrip on the charge from 32nd spot. Earnhardt to the lead. Irvan now in second as we watch further back. Lassiter and Waltrip take the battle to Cecil Eunice in the 19 car. Shows you just how tight and how tough passing is here.
You know, Darrell's noted for taking his time getting there, but when you get in a situation like this, you want to get out of traffic. You need to be careful, but this track is so treacherous, you need to get to the front as quick as possible, just like these two guys right here.
Earnhardt and Irvan up front. Davey Allison is 3rd, and point leader Bobby Labonte is 4th. Here's Brock Yates.
Well, Mike, I'm down here with Chuck Bown, who didn't make a lap. The defending champion, terribly disappointed. What's the problem, Chuck?
On the 3rd lap of the race, coming off the 4th turn, just something happened internally in the engine. I think it blew up to some degree. I think we're all done in a short day for this debate.
Oil pressure go away and everything.
No, the gauges were okay. Just something broke. Just all at once, no warning, just broke coming off the 4th turn.
Needless to say, terrible break. Really sorry to have you out. So Chuck Bown, records he's finished. Back to you, Mike.
And Ernie Irvan retakes the battle for the lead up in turn 2 underneath Dale Earnhardt.
This looked like a redoing of yesterday's practice. Ernie ran behind Dale for about 10 laps, and then he got under him and really started stretching it out in practice.
About a 4, and you see that side-by-side racing has allowed Davey Allison to come right back at the 2 leaders. Among the point contenders, Bobby Labonte runs in 4th place. Kenny Wallace right now is 21st. You're watching the race for the lead.
Mike, something we've been seeing and has been noticed among the drivers down there is you abuse the tires a little bit and they really fall off. These two guys keep going after it. When they get straightened out, Davey might have a shot to go around both of them. If you abuse them, you're going to pay the price.
Front 3, they have about a 1/3 of a straightaway on Bobby Labonte. Kenny Wallace has slipped to 23rd position. Not having a comfortable day out there.
You know something, Neil, you just said about abusing the tires. Nobody ever explains that car by himself back there is in the preferred line. When they're racing side by side, either car cannot get down like you need to do to get around each other, so they put a lot of bind on the tire. This 3rd car here, he's just running in the preferred line all the way around the racetrack.
8 laps on the board. Earnhardt way up high that time.
Freddie said at the top of the show, these two guys are just hard-headed enough, each one of them, that they don't want the other guy to lead the race. They're talking about taking care of, you know, we got a few laps into a 197-lap race. They got quite a way to go, and they're battling like it was the last lap right now.
Now, there's no championship involved for these 3. They've got nothing to lose, except their race car.
Well, today's a play day. They have to get busy tomorrow, but they play pretty tough, too.
What about the wisdom of Dale Earnhardt driving today? He competes for the Winston Cup Championship tomorrow.
I tell you what, Mike, you know, if the guy wants to run all the time, talking about I let somebody else drive the race car. When he got to thinking about it, he climbed in the window. If they're going to run a race car and it's black with a 3 on it, he's probably going to get in that thing himself. But you do question, there's a lot on the line in Winston Cup, but he's wanting to run that car himself.
Too, I think they gain a little bit of experience on the racetrack for tomorrow. I think they see a little bit of what the race car will start doing, whether it's going to get loose or get tighter or what, in today's race, and they can apply it to their car fixing it for tomorrow.
Plus, you know Dale Earnhardt, and you know when a race car is running as well as this one is today, you don't miss a chance to get in the seat. Ernie Irvin in number 10. Mac Tool Chevrolet, Earnhardt's Good Wrench Chevy on the outside. Davey Allison right behind them in the Texaco car, and that's entered as a Buick. These V6 powered Busch Grand National cars, a little lighter than their Winston Cup counterparts, a little less horsepower perhaps.
People might question why is Davey run a Buick when he runs a Ford on the Winston Cup circuit, but they're still developing that V6 Ford. There's not a lot of availability for the parts for him, and Davey's had that Buick, and I'm sure as soon as Ford gets on track with the things they're doing, he'll switch back to a Ford for the Busch racing.
There are 4 Fords in the field today, one of those driven by Bill Elliott. Buddy Earnhardt's going to make himself a new groove up there.
Well, he better do something because they're going to have a lot of people right with him in just a few seconds. I see Bobby Labonte come into the picture now, and they're closing in on him. Those guys running side by side like that are really slowing themselves down. If they would get single file, they'd probably run back off again.
Well, Earnhardt's car really got loose getting that 3 over there, where it will do that. And I'm telling you, just like Buddy talked about, watch Davey. He goes in low, and then he comes off the bottom and up off the corner. He'll sweep up high once he comes off. He's running the entire racetrack like Buddy's talking about. As soon as these 2 guys get sorted out, Davey might be able to drive around him because he's sitting there just biding his time right now.
Well, there's Bobby Labonte in 4th place. He's the point leader. Let's check back to Kenny Wallace. Wallace is battling with Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip has gone by, and now it's Tracy Leslie right up there with Kenny Wallace. Rusty Wallace, the oldest of the 3 racing brothers. We'll put all 3 of them in the event today. And up front, Earnhardt is still holding court up there in the high groove.
Yeah, look at this little car that just jumped in there back there. They're talking about the Fords of Bill Elliott in 6th spot. He just got in the fight there. I tell you, this is going to be a great race from here on out.
Elliott running a Thunderbird. It carries number 84 and the colors that he'll wear next season when he runs a V6 Ernie Elliott powered Ford in a number of these Busch races. And now he's trying that high groove that Earnhardt has liked.
Mike, there might be something there for the Busch cars that's not there for the Winston Cup. The Winston Cup cars have a lot of power. They can pull it down in the bottom, bind the car, and accelerate up off the corner. These V6s thrive off keeping it wound up. With them running the high groove, they can keep it wound up a little bit more. So they might be able to run these cars a little bit higher today than they will in the Winston Cup race tomorrow.
Ernie Irvin jumped underneath Earnhardt for a moment. That didn't last long. Behind them, there's Elliott up in that high groove.
And he passed the cars we were talking about on the outside.
I think that was Ward Burton. Or check that, Jeff Burton that he went by. It was Jeff Burton in the 99.
Well, Neil, you know something about Bill Elliott at this racetrack. Y'all have had some classic duels all the way down to the very end. And, buddy, he's hard to beat here.
I think we've got a log jam right here in the front. It's going to get tight in a minute.
Yeah, things are stacking up fast here. Behind the 2 leaders, Irvin and Earnhardt. Each taking take no prisoners, give no quarter, and ask none attitude.
You think we need to run the top of the show back and show them where they said they were going to take it easy the first of this race?
On what, the pace lap? That's Davey Allison 3rd, getting a little squirrely there off the bottom. In 4th, Bobby Labonte in 44. Earnhardt had the pole here for the March race and won the Busch race at Daytona, Charlotte, and Darlington. And here comes Elliott up on the outside still. He's right up on Bobby Labonte.
That car is extremely strong just off the corner. If you notice that, Neil, he closes about 2 car lengths out of the corner. Watch him right here. He'll close right up on him. Well, just as I said, the expert analyst here, he drops back about 4 car lengths.
But he's not through yet, buddy. He's still coming.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
And now
yellow flag.
One car way down on the apron coming to pit lane. That'll be Tommy Ellis.
Should we say this is what the doctor ordered? Because here, I guarantee you're going to see the 36 car get in there and they'll do some switching around.
Tommy Ellis on pit road. That car received a loaner engine this morning from the Hubert and Jeff Hensley team, and looks like he's taking that behind the wall. So caution is out for the first time today.
I don't know if he'll be able to give it back to him in that condition. When he borrowed it, it was in one piece.
Yes. And here's Rusty Wallace getting set to take over. for youngest brother Kenny. Steve Bird, the crew chief on that Cox lumber car. They have to wait until NASCAR opens the pit lane.
I'll tell you one thing, it's in Rusty Wallace's mind. He needs to replace his brother, but he's been watching Ernie Irvan and Dale Earnhardt up there racing, and I guarantee you he wants to get in the middle. He wants to replace his brother, but they're having fun. He wants to get in the middle of it.
Okay, Tommy Ellis was the reason for the caution. He let that engine go up between turns 3 and 4, and it may have dumped some fluid on the racetrack. So that's why we're under this first caution of the day. There's Kenny Wallace. The pits are open this time around, so Rusty he's just chomping at the bit and ready to go. Kenny has started 5 races here. His best finish, a second in the spring race this year. 2 top 5 finishes in 5 starts at Rockingham.
He's already got the window net in. He lowered the window net as he turned off the racetrack to try to speed up everything as much as possible to make a quick change.
Now, Rusty qualified the car for Kenny and has it set up more to his liking than what Kenny would have underneath him in the car. So Kenny Wallace hauls himself out, and Rusty climbs aboard. Our viewer hotline is open today if you want to call in your questions to us here in the booth or down along pit road about how this AC-Delco 200 is going along. We'll give you that in a moment. Here's Steve Evans.
Considering how bad Kenny Wallace is hurting, he came out of that window like a man with no pain whatsoever. It's time-consuming to change a driver. They couldn't really practice like road racers do who are used to that sort of thing because of Wallace's injury. An amazingly quick driver change. I'm a little surprised maybe they didn't take advantage of this to do a little more work on the car. Apparently they were very satisfied the way it was handling. Let's find out how Kenny Wallace is feeling. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just, you know, only took about 20 laps this week, and Rusty's got the car set up a lot tighter than I'm used to, and you know, I'll be 100% by Martinsville. I'll be ready to go. I just giving everybody a lot of room there, hoping for a caution, and thank the good Lord it came.
So the reason you were falling back, you feel, was the chassis setup not to your style?
Right. Well, that and me a little bit. Rusty runs a car a lot tighter than I do. I run it a little bit looser. It was pushing to me, and plus I was just playing it very safely. Anytime anybody get underneath me, I give him plenty of room.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll be back with more of this story from the AC-Delco 200.
We're under caution at Rockingham. We'll be right back.
I'm not married.
You live alone?
I'm in West Virginia, and we've had a few snowflakes dancing around in the air from time to time, but now we're beginning to warm up around Sault Ste. Marie, so most of that snow on up into Canada. Let's go to the satellite picture. We'll put it in motion for you. And as we do, we can see...
Attitudes towards Molly. How can you be so insensitive, so uncaring, so selfish?
I'm dying to hear.
Just comes with the territory.
The territory?
The territory.
What, you mean being a man?
Incredible. You figured that out all by yourself?
Let me get this straight, Miss. Made $1 million off my physical beauty, but not a dime off my emotional substance haze. According to you, it's not just me, but all men who are insensitive, uncaring, and selfish, right?
You learn quickly for a man.
They have just restarted the AC-Delco 200. Dale Earnhardt out in front of Ernie Irvan now. Davey Allison in third. And in fourth is Bobby Labonte. Here is Rusty Wallace coming up from the back of the pack on the restart. One of only a couple of cars that pitted during that caution flag. Working underneath, that's Dick Trickle up in the 18 car.
You know, he come in another time after he got in the car, and they put on fresh right side, so he'll look like a bear for a little while because he's on fresh tires and very few of them stop.
So Rusty coming up from the back, trying to give Kenny as much points as possible. There's one car out of the race, and that's Tommy Ellis, whose grenaded engine brought out that first caution flag. If one more car drops out, then Bobby Labonte cannot clinch today.
That's Dick Trickle that we were watching just then, and looked like Rusty's just going to kind of bide his time. He's not taking any chances of, you know, heating the tires up where they don't work well.
Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, the smoke that you're looking at there is coming from the car number 12, Wings to Go Buick, and Tommy Ellis. Tommy, tell us what happened.
Well, I tell you, we had a car running really good yesterday in practice, and we come in this morning, started the engine up, and it had busted a piston or something. Anyway, we borrowed this motor from Nescafe and put in this Wings to Go Buick, and we thought we was going to be set, but it started going away about 3 or 4 laps ago and just got weaker and weaker, and I think it dropped the valve or something.
Well, the only good side to it is at least that wasn't your engine that blew there.
Well, I really didn't hear what you said, but we're going to Martinsville next week, and we'll be ready to get them out.
Well, it's been a tough day for the Hubert and Jeff Hensley team. First, their car with Chuck Bound went out of the race on the first lap, and then their spare engine they loaned to Tommy Ellis is also out. So now with 2 cars out of the race, Bobby Labonte cannot clinch the title today, even if he wins. It will go to Martinsville, Player's beautiful half-mile track next Sunday. Rusty working the outside of Tom Peck and following Dick Trickle up through.
Mike, I think you hit on something. When you said following Dick Trickle, Dick's car has been performing real well since the race started, and he can probably follow Dick right on through and get closer to the front without having to work his car so hard.
No change in the front 5, so we'll stay back here with this mid-pack battle. They're about a straightaway behind the leaders.
Well, yeah, here we go. I guarantee you that car is working well, but there's somebody moving up. We're not on them just to the second now, but if you look in 7th place, Harry Gantz comes from 14th to 7th now, so it won't be long before he'll be in our frame here.
No surprise. Trickle running behind Cecil Eunice, and then that's David Green. Just up ahead of the number 8 car. He's had a great rookie season, battling Jeff Gordon, Rookie of the Year honors. Rusty behind Dick Trickle. And up ahead, there's Darrell Waltrip leading that whole pack.
Rusty's not making the move like everybody thought. New tires felt like he'd really come up through there, but he's either not like he's wanting the car to be, or he's just being extra cautious.
You know, I think he's just, right now, I think he's being very careful not to cost his brother a chance at the championship, because when it comes push to shove, I think he'll go right back up towards the front near the end of the race.
Well, let's get up front and see what's going on. There at 2nd place, Ernie Irvin, along with Davey Allison and Bobby Labonte right there.
Davey's been making some attempts to get around Ernie. His car seems to be working a little bit lower in parts of the racetrack, but he's got up beside him and been able to get around him yet.
Bobby Labonte's been able to run in a virtual pocket. Elliott hasn't been able to close up on him, the 5th place car, and he's made no advance up there on the front 3. 34 laps complete at Rockingham in the AC-Delco 200. We'll be right back.
Due to TNN Motorsports' live coverage of Sunday's AC-Delco 500 race, American Sports Cavalcade, usually seen Sundays at 3 p.m., will be seen this week on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on TNN. The Statler Brothers, like you've never seen them before. Country's most awarded group comes to TNN. Every Saturday night, join the Statlers for the music that made them famous.
Down the flowers on the wall, that don't bother me at all.
Variety.
I can't believe it!
Comedy. And superstars.
So don't rock the jukebox. Play me a country song that I knew a lady wearing tight-fitting jeans.
Plus, the show's musical family takes a fond look at yesteryear.
Dang me, oh, take a rope and hang me.
It's country's finest hour, the Statler Brothers Show. Saturday nights at 9, 8 Central on TNN, the Nashville Network.
"37 laps complete at Rockingham, and look at this battle for the lead. Davey Allison has finally got his Buick down underneath Ernie Irvin, and on the march headed for Dale Earnhardt. There's our 800 number. If you've got questions about the way this race is running, call them in and we'll get some answers for you. We've had a lot of good suggestions from Dover on that 800 line. One of them was on the Saturday show to give the Sunday starting lineup, and we will later in today's telecast. Boy, Earnhardt went all the way up to the top that time.
He seemed content, he seemed content to stay in the bottom until they gained on him, and then he went back up top where he was really performing well early, so he might try the top again.
There's Jeff Gordon's Ford, which started way out back after taking a provisional spot, the number 1 car. He's locked up in a race with David Green for the Busch Rookie Championship, right now chasing Morgan Shepherd. And we have a word from the pits that Green may be having problems. Back up front, and you notice Davey Allison's missing.
Davey dropped back about 4 positions all of a sudden. might be having some kind of problem early.
So Davey made a quick slip and slide and backed up a bit there. There's Earnhardt taking that very high line. And Irvin has the measure of him. Dale comes fighting right back, though. How many more RPM, Neil, do you run up in the high part of the corner than when you bind the car down on the bottom?
The problem is down the gas a little bit longer, and it lets the RPM fall lower. And that's what really hurts it. Up on the top, it's probably 200 or 300 RPM difference.
And a new face in the mix. That'll be Dale Jarrett in the Nestle's Crunch Pontiac. Getting right up there with the program. Now in 4th place, he's passed both Elliott and Allison.
You'll see this all day. One car will be dominant for a couple of laps. He'll run up there and make his charge on them. Maybe go all the way to lead, maybe not. You see everybody's got a preferred line wherever the car runs the fastest. They watch the RPM and try to make the car work where it works the best as far as RPMs and all.
On pit road, Jimmy Hensley. Bobby Labonte had a shot there at taking the lead on the bottom side. Maybe not this time. Labonte is 3rd. The Wallace car that Kenny started and Rusty is driving has just moved to 23rd.
I like what Bobby's doing. He's racing for the championship, and I tell you, that's the way you win it. You don't go out there and run for points.
Who's the little green car we see coming up on the outside of the lead pack here?
Oh, it's a stink up the show, Harry.
Hammer and tack, man. Here he comes.
He is back. Harry Gant has come up from 14th spot, and he's up in the top 5. 43 laps on the board. Earnhardt continues to lead. Nobody else has gone up there, right? Well, I'm not surprised, but...
Well, Harry's been running up there a good bit. If he gets through traffic, he worked up there. And Earnhardt and Gant are the only ones been running the high line, aren't you, buddy?
I tell you, this is amazing. Every race you say, well, can't do it this time, and he just keeps on doing it. He's right up front every time.
Out of turn 2, back straight away. Irvin right with him. Right with Earnhardt, and Bobby Labonte right in the middle of the battle for the lead. Wasn't it Earnhardt who said if you win races, the championship will take care of itself?
Yeah, and there's Todd Bodine making a strong run now. You know, he ran quite well at Dover and won the race, so he's handling quite well. He's moved in the front group now.
Had a good run at going at Charlotte, too.
We're right back in the same deal where side by side with the big pack of cars come. When they get side by side, as Buddy mentioned earlier, it slows the entire field down. They got it all drooped up again.
Let's take a look back for the Kenny Wallace car. There it is with Rusty aboard, 24th position right at the moment. Racing Steve Grissom.
He must like what Trickle's doing. If you notice, he's like a man in his shadow coming up through there.
Taking it real easy with the car, not putting it in any jeopardy. Racing it hard, but you can race hard and still be gentle with the car.
Well, there's a lot on the line, you know, back there in that area.
And there is up front here, too. Look at Bobby Labonte right in the middle of that pack battling for the lead at 47 laps.
Uh-oh. Car on the back straightaway, number 58.
Lonnie Rush out of Pickerington, Ohio. The Indy Auto Auction Pontiac, and I don't think they'll get much for that one at auction on Monday.
Little one owner, barely damaged.
Yeah, only driven on Saturday afternoons. Caution at lap 47. Second caution of the day. Drives it off the wall. And almost into traffic. He's okay.
This might be something that pays off for Rusty. They had to make the stop because of to change drivers, but as Buddy said, they also put tires on, so they might not come in.
Let's have another look, see if we can see what happened here.
Oh boy, that's a ooh, look at this. Nice piece of driving there, but I tell you what, when you get in that spot right there, the steering wheel is non-effectual. You're along for the ride, right, Neil?
He looked like he was real low coming up off the corner, and the back end just got out from under him. And, you know, we were concerned about that with the radios. These guys said themselves they didn't know what they could do when they got in problems, and we might see a little bit of that today.
Plus, that's a pretty sharp cut, isn't it, coming off a 2?
Toughest place on the racetrack.
I'll tell you one thing, the cameramen were ahead of us, and us up there watching the race. If you notice, we seen the wreck after it already had stopped almost. Those guys are on the ball there. Way to go, man.
Pit stops under caution. And virtually the whole front of the field is in, giving Jeff Gordon the lead. Looks like right side tires all up and down the pit lane. Earnhardt, Tony Uri led crew at work, and Bobby Labonte. Penrose crew giving him fuel and tires.
I'll elaborate on that spin just a little bit since we've got a little bit of time to talk. What happens in the middle of the corner is that's when you're back in the throttle at full force there. And you're coming off the corner and the back end starts out. You don't really have any power to help you out of the problem. So when the back starts around, there's no power to pull you back straight, so you go right into a spin like that.
And he did. Watching Phil Parsons, he comes out of the pits leisurely and during the second caution period.
Talking to the crew, trying to see what kind of adjustments to make in there.
The guys back out there with that car. He didn't damage as bad as we thought he had.
David Green makes a stop, gets back out there, rolling a bit slowly due to the mandated speed limit on pit road. Questions coming in on our 800 number. We'll have a couple of them for you right after we come back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway. 50 laps complete.
The American Society for Testing and Materials set a new technical standard for antifreeze used to protect heavy-duty truck engines against boiling, freeze-ups, and corrosion. Only one of the 3 best-selling antifreeze brands made for cars meets that standard. It's the patented car antifreeze that can also keep heavy-duty engines running at their peak. Protect your engine from freeze-ups and boilovers. Remember the heavy-duty standard. Don't stop short of the peak.
Don't wait. Get the news weekly of motoring, Auto Week. Don't wait for driving impressions. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them first. Don't wait for car news. Auto Week covers the world. Auto shows, the new, the old, and brings it to you fast. Don't wait for racing news. Get the news weekly of motoring. Auto Week brings you the winningest coverage first. Don't wait. Get Auto Week, the news weekly of motoring, now. Call 1-800-851-2600 for this TV race weekend special. Get Auto Week at the lowest price ever, $17.95 for 52 issues. But don't wait. This offer expires midnight on Monday. Get Auto Week at the lowest price ever. Call 1-800-851-2600.
It was 8 o'clock in there, right? Yeah. My truck wouldn't start. And the lights worked, but the engine wouldn't turn over. So I figured it must be the starter, right? Well, I went to AutoZone. They said, let's test it. Turns out it was okay. So we tested my battery and found that it just didn't have enough juice to crank it. Now get this. I didn't have to spend a dime, because they even charged my battery for free. Get out of here. That kind of service? Hey, you just can't beat it.
TNN Motorsports live coverage of the AC-Delco 200 is being brought to you by the more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. They have just dropped the green flag for the restart, and Earnhardt wastes no time going past race leader Richie Burgess and right back to the front. He's got Irvin with him and Gant, Dale Jarrett, and Bobby Labonte. Burgess gets caught up in the high groove and the field passes him by. Here's Steve Evans.
Well, Mike, we just checked with the crew of the number 8 car driven by David Green, and let's remember he is running for Busch Rookie of the Year. The car has been in the pits at least 3 times. It is a fuel starvation problem. They think it's the fuel pump. They have not changed that. They're trying some other simpler things, trying to stay out there and earn points to stay in that rookie league.
Trouble, turn 1. One car is hard into the wall, and that was Jeff Gordon. As the field will come around to the caution flag. Gordon may have had a stuck throttle or might have cut a tire, but the car just rocketed up into the turn 1 retaining wall. And so both rookies are coming under fire here today. 55 laps, second yellow for Jeff Gordon. Questions off our 800 line, our 800 number. If you have questions for us, 800-451-7331 from Phil Parsons' car.
That's about as close as you can get to a shot on what happened.
I'll tell you one thing. He was lucky there. Woo. Well, that's a little bit after, but I tell you, it looked like a tire went down or something because he just veered hard right and straight into the wall.
So both rookies, Gordon and the Bill Davis Ford.
That deal where he come across the racetrack there, that's one of the most gruesome things that can happen to you in racing, is be dead stick like that, coasting across in front of cars coming at you. Boy, I tell you, that's not a pleasant feeling.
Well, with another caution, the field is back on pit road, this time likely for left side tires.
This will give you the indication of the tires we're concerned with here. They're already putting tires on after just a few laps.
Rock Yates.
Okay, I'm done in Bobby Labonte's pit. Father Bob, the crew getting ready to go. This is their second stop. They're going for the left side tires. It was a 14-second stop first time around. They took on right side rubber. Here goes fresh left side rubber on. So Bobby Labonte, very orderly pit stop here. They haven't panicked at all after Kenny Wallace was relieved by his brother Rusty. So Bobby back underway and still in the hunt.
Steve Evans.
Let's go to Steve.
All right, well, Gordon getting into the wall is a big break for David Green. I'm in the pit of the number 8 car, Gil Martin. You going to bring that car back in again?
Well, I believe we've got a piece of trash in the needling seat and the carburetor. We're having a little bit of the carburetor spillage right now, but we're going to try to get it cleared up.
One of the real challenges for that rookie honors just bought the wall.
Well, I hate that happened, but it's a bad day for all of us.
We'll let them go to work.
A couple of questions off our 800 number. Dorothy from Louisville wanted to know how these Busch drivers feel about the Winston Cup drivers sharing the track with them and taking home some of the money.
Mike, I tell you, when I used to run the sportsman division, which is now the Busch series, I used to always look forward to being able to race against the Winston Cup guys. I think they enjoy racing against them. Everybody says, well, it takes away from the money. When you start looking at these grandstands, the crowds that are here, there's a lot more money up for everybody.
Buddy, I raised a question about Bill Elliott next year, and Bill from New York wants to know if the Elliott brothers are going to have a race car if Bill goes with Junior next year in the Winston Cup division, if they'll still run the Busch Series.
Well, yeah, he's going to run for his brother in the Busch Grand National Series. And what did I hear about Elliott? Are they going to have a car for major speedways next year?
For the Busch Series. It's the Elliott brothers.
Right.
That's it. And Bill will drive for somebody else next year in the Winston Cup Wars. 57 laps complete at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. We'll be right back.
Full roast out here. We're 1,000 miles from anywhere. Is that a ship? No one will save us.
3 Miller Genuine Drafts.
Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. With not one, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out why people like Wendy's Super Value Menu best. We've got 9 delicious choices, just 99 cents each. Like our new Caesar side salad and Junior Cheeseburger Deluxe. Look, our Big Baked Potato is a meal by itself, and our Junior Bacon Cheeseburger comes with 2 strips of bacon. Sometimes I wonder why other places don't offer as much. I guess you have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Now get 9 delicious choices for 99 cents each on the Super Value Menu at Wendy's.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember, especially at a time like this, when it's very deserted and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
Shower yourself with a new sensation, new refreshing Shield. Feel the blast. The high-energy beat of Shield's unique skin-vigorating formula. Refreshment that'll turn you around. New refreshing Shield.
59 laps complete. They'll look for green this next time by. And after pit stops, it's Bill Elliott up at the head of the field. That's David Green, apparently 1 lap down. Check that, he is 2 laps down, trying to get back up with the leaders. He's the lone car up on the outside. Ward Burton, who had such a great run at Charlotte, nearly won it, ran out of gas, lined up in the 2nd spot.
this is the development motor going forward. The V6 and Elliott's car, we'll just have to see how it performs, but that's where a lot of the work's going.
On the break, here comes Burton to the low side on Elliott, and there'll be no room for him there. Bobby Labonte came out of the pits back in 11th. The Wallace car is 17th. Earnhardt and Irvin slicing their way up through the field, but they've got to go some to catch Bill Elliott.
You know, a car that's moved right up in the front. There's Dick Trickle in about 4th place already. He's come from the very back end of the field.
And here comes Rusty Wallace in that black Cox wooden car, number 36.
Mike, and that pack of cars right behind him, he just passed every one of them going in the corner 3 deep in the bottom. So I think he's kind of throwing caution out the win now and see if he can go in front.
Took a good chance to make some position right there as they came up to speed on the restart. Battling Davey Allison now, and Davey sleeps underneath on the low side.
I don't know what happened to Davey earlier, but he fell way back. He seems to be up to speed again.
I think he just had a bobble. He went just from 2nd to 6th just in the space of 1 corner.
Which is not hard to do at this place, because when you lose it a little bit in the corner here, you're going for a ride.
There's Earnhardt and Irvin. They're back at it in 4th and 5th positions. Earnhardt to the bottom on David Green, the lap car. And a bit further back, there they are side by side, Bobby Labonte and Rusty Wallace in relief of younger brother Kenny.
And showing a lot more strength than when he first got in the car. They might have made some changes on these few stops they've made, because showing a lot more strength now than he did first the race.
Yeah, I tell you, I talked to them this morning about there's no stagger in the radial tire, but they said just 2 pounds of air pressure makes like a 1/4 inch of stagger in the car. I mean, it really affects it. So it looks like he might have a good set of tires on that car, and he's going towards the front now.
Now remember, Kenny Wallace started this car, Rusty Wallace in it now. And back up front, there's Irvin and Gant. 5th and 6th place cars. Earnhardt up there in 4th. Dick Trickle running in 3rd. Bill Elliott is the leader. Ward Burton is 2nd. And a Ford out in front, one of only 4 that started this race.
He's really the only one that qualified well at all. The rest of them were way further back in the field.
Another one of those young guys going there in that 18 car, Dick Trickle.
What is he, about 11 years old? And there's Rusty Wallace again battling Ward Burton. Both those cars trying to move up and gain a bit of ground against Robert Presley, the 5th place point man in car 59. Back up front. And the pressure is on.
I'll bet you Ward Burton stops for fuel when everybody else does this week if he's up there near the end of the race.
I'll bet he does too. He's in the fast company right now. Elliott ahead and Earnhardt right on his bumper. Well, he had a thought about it.
Trying to take the lead. He really ran a good race at Charlotte. Had problems, but he's in the middle of some thick racing right here.
That was the dominant car at Charlotte. Not surprising to see that Gwaltney's car having a good run here today.
Looks like he's had some damage on the frontal area of the car. On one of the restarts, he must have tapped somebody. The frontal area is caved in on the left side a little bit, but not affecting the way the car runs. Here's Earnhardt getting under Elliott also.
He better turn it up just a little bit. Here comes Earnhardt with Ernie right behind him. I tell you what, those 2 cars are working real well.
Well, if Harry Gant was Mr. September, Ward Burton is on his way to being Mr. October. He led 162 of the 200 laps at Charlotte. Sadly, the last lap was not one of them. Ran out of gas with, what, 13 to go?
Just very few laps left.
Definitely a comer. He and his younger brother is also in this race. What was it Steve Smith told Brock Yates? He said, they got the world of outlaws. They should call NASCAR the world of in-laws.
That's exactly right.
A lot of family matters going on here. There is Rusty Wallace getting underneath Harry Gant and moving up a notch. Steve Evans?
Well, guys, I talked to the crew chief, Steve Bird, on the 36 car, and you were absolutely right. Rusty wasn't totally comfortable in the car at first. He took it very conservatively to keep it off of the fences. Now they've been able to take a little bite out of the car, and he just described it on the radio as darn near perfect. Brock?
Well, Steve, I'm down here with the Labonte pit, and Bob Labonte is registering a certain amount of frustration right now. In fact, during that first stop that produced the driver change between Rusty and his brother, Bob Labonte shook his fist in frustration. And I just said to him a minute ago, is Bobby running hard or is he coasting? He said, I'll tell you what, he's driving his ass off. So he's trying out here. There's no coasting in the 44 car right now. Now let's go back to Mike.
There's no coasting anywhere out here anymore. Here's Earnhardt putting the pressure back on Ward Burton and Ernie Irvin in a position to capitalize in the 10 car.
Right up there where we saw him running early, high on the racetrack and able to make the pass.
And coming right up behind them will be Trickle and then Rusty Wallace. Just at the top of the picture. Dale Jarrett in there as well. So Earnhardt back to the front.
Let me ask you, if you got hurt and you had a brother like Rusty Wallace, who better in racing could you put in a car than Rusty Wallace to finish and try to win the national championship for you?
Especially when he owns that car.
Yeah, that's it.
So Earnhardt goes back up front. He started on the outside pole, and Irvin, the pole sitter, is in second. Ward Burton running in third, started way back in 21st. Then it's Dick Trickle, then Dale Jarrett, and then Rusty Wallace, who's now past Trickle.
Yeah, which earlier in the race he had to follow him because he couldn't. And we just heard him say Rusty said the car was too tight. He had to take bite out. Kenny should feel good about his seat of the britches feel because he also said the car was too tight when he was in. He couldn't drive it. It wasn't only tight for him. Rusty was having a problem with it. Now they got it corrected.
So they're right up in the thick of things. Meanwhile, Bobby Labonte is back in 10th. Earnhardt the leader, 75 laps completed here at the Rock as they work on Jeff Gordon's car and try to get the rookies Ford back into the race. We'll be right back.
Due to TNN Motorsports' live coverage of Sunday's AC-Delco 500 race, American Sports Cavalcade, usually seen Sundays at 3 p.m., will be seen this week on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on TNN.
Well, back home, everybody influenced me. There was always people patting me on the back, and I run around the neighborhood, the countryside, playing at these little places, and people follow me around, and they was always real supportive, you know. They always told me, you ought to be down there, you ought to be on the radio, so, and I love them for that.
'Cause I meant every word he said.
You know, when I'm on stage, I just try to sing. This song takes a hold of me. I don't try to impress anybody. I just sing. People come to hear you sing, and that's what I'm there for, to sing.
Somewhere there should be for all the world to see.
Well, if TNN didn't exist, I don't think that country music would be growing as fast as it's growing, and it's growing by leaps and bounds.
Davey Allison completes a lengthy pit stop and goes back into the action at lap 79. Davey's on a 72-race winless streak in this series. Most races run without a victory of any Winston Cup driver running the Busch Series cars. And up front it remains Earnhardt and Irvin with Ward Burton, now Rusty Wallace, and Dale Jarrett, the top five.
We're fixing to get into some heavy traffic right here, but what's good about running high like they are, they can work traffic because well, just as I tell you, everybody's running low, they go between them.
Here comes Rusty Wallace up on Ward Burton, and they approach this heavy pack of traffic. And Dale Jarrett gets underneath Rusty.
Nobody's going to handle Rusty. He can pass low or high right now. As he said, that car is dead letter perfect.
Lapped car being used as a pick there, and Rusty has to drop back. Dick Trickle gains a little ground on that one. Lapping Troy Beebe, the number 9 car. Now, he has 9 as his number this season at Busch Grand National Racing. That's why Bill Elliott can't use it. Bill of Ohio. Calling in on our 800 line. Earnhardt up front. Kim from Pennsylvania wondered if anybody'd ever won both the Busch Grand National Series and Winston Cup titles. Not this fellow, who has 4 race wins at Rockingham. Only man to do it was Ned Jarrett, Grand National champ in 57 and 58, Winston Cup champ in 61 and 65. Troy Beebe, the lap car, number 9, then Irvin, then Jarrett. And there's Bill Elliott in those red and white colors that they will run for Ford next year in the Busch Grand National Series. And back in 10th place now after the restart. That says Bill Elliott Ford up on the front, and there's another Ford. Morgan Shepherd's. That'll bring out the yellow at lap 83.
And that's the wrong place to park one over there. He must have got up in the wall going down in the corner. Better than cross that traffic. That's the thing to do, park it up there and try to go cross traffic at slow speed like Buddy's talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Shepherd did not hit the wall. Looked like he just kind of came up and rolled to a stop up there.
Is he expecting curb service? He's not going to get it up there.
Train doesn't stop here anymore.
No, he did a smart thing there. If he'd have tried to come across the racetrack without any power, that could have been a bad accident. So that's the experience you see parked there.
With the smoke coming off the right side, whatever the problem is.
So we're under caution once again at lap 84, 4th one of the day, as Morgan Shepherd stops up in turn number 2 on the racetrack. Brings out a caution. Up front, it's been Irvin, Earnhardt, and Ward Burton. Much of the day, Bill Elliott led a bit under green, and several other drivers have led under the caution. 3 cars out of the race. Jeff Gordon's Ford, Tommy Ellis, and Chuck Bound went out on the first lap as we ride along with Phil Parsons under this caution flag.
They're coming down pit road. Usually when we see a Busch race, we see very little pitting. But now these guys are having to put tires on. We're seeing a big drop-off on speed, so it's going to be essential that they put new tires on as much as possible.
Oh, yeah, this place is just like Dover. You know, we said last time when we covered Dover, anytime there's a caution, you want 4 tires if you have time to put them on. Well, this place is just like that.
Rusty Wallace getting right side tire and gasoline. Same thing for Harry Gant from the Ed Whitaker crew, and they're bumping up the spoiler a bit on Gant's car. Bobby Labonte getting service.
This is going to be a unique situation. We just saw with Earnhardt, Ernie Irvin, and Rusty Wallace out together, so that's going to be a race when it starts.
There's no 3 people in racing today that race as hard as those 3 guys. I'm going to tell you, that's going to be a hair raiser right there.
Tracy Leslie, and now you ride out of the pit with Phil Parsons. Morgan Shepherd's car is now rolled down behind the wall. Earlier today, they ran the Union 76 Rockingham Pit Crew Championship for the Winston Cup crews. Betty from Boone wanted to know. Bud Moore's team won it. First victory for them in the 25 years of the championship. And we'll be right back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway. 86 laps complete in the AC-Delco 200.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. With not 1, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember at a time like this, when your car has been sitting idle, when it's very dark, and very deserted, and very cold. Oh, thank heavens, you did remember Xerex antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex. And now, Xerex can help you condition and protect your complete cooling system with Xerex Super Sealer, Super Cleaner, Super Flush, and Super Protector.
As far as the way you communicate music, I think that is just something that comes natural. I've been singing since I was 8 years old. I tried to sing a song with a lot of emotion.
I thought that he walked on water.
I like a song that's almost a novelty type song sometimes, kind of an off-the-wall view of things. To me, Digging Up Bones was that kind of a song. And I also like a song that has a real good message like Forever and Ever Amen. If you can find one of those, I'd put it on every album.
Oh, darling, I'm gonna love you forever.
I thought it was great for country music when the network began. And it's been a great success because it continually grows.
As long as a woman.
Getting set for the restart. After pit stops, Dale Jarrett is at the front of the field. That's Billy Standridge lined up right behind him. And they'll go 3 wide into the corner with Earnhardt moving up. Inside of one car and then outside Rich Burgess.
Is he a wild man or what?
I think he's a racer. I tell you what, he made a heck of a move inside, outside.
What did say? I'm a little under the weather. Boy, if he is well, what would he do?
Well, he left the rest of the field behind. There's Kenny Wallace, and he approves of the way Rusty's running that car. Watching from pit road. There's Rusty right in the middle of a pack of traffic, trailing Ernie Irvin as they work underneath Billy Standridge's number 47. Back at the front, and Earnhardt having a bit of a margin on Irvin thanks to all that lap traffic stacked up, and now trying to close it down on Dale Jarrett.
Mike, even though Dale Jarrett took the lead on the caution here, he's shown a lot of strength all day. He was right in the middle of his car's been running good, and now he's out front. That's a key, to get up front here and be able to stay there.
Let's check with Glenn Jarrett.
I'm standing with crew chief John Irvin on Dale Jarrett's 32 car. John, you didn't pit that time. Why not?
Well, Glenn, we just ran 27 laps. We hadn't ran enough to finish the rest of the race, so we're going to have to pit later and get right slide tires and fuel so we can go the rest of the way. So we just didn't see any use of pitting right now because we can't make it the rest of the way in the race.
Okay, that's their strategy right now. He says they can't make the rest of the way anyway, so they're just going to run for a while and lead the race.
Well, he's doing a good job of it. Irvin has caught up with Earnhardt, who has not been able to run down the race leader. And right with them is Rusty Wallace.
Ernie's going to try some of Dale's stuff on the outside. That's where Dale was real successful.
Look under him at Rusty.
Here comes Rusty sticking the nose in it, right in the middle of the two.
The last 5 races in a row, Bobby Labonte and Kenny Wallace have traded the point lead back and forth, and if that follows suit, it's Kenny's turn to lead. Rusty's trying to get him there.
That was a little intimidation move there. Did you see him kind of swerve at him?
Yeah, but I didn't see swerving dodge him either. He was ready. He wasn't going to give him a whole lot of room.
No, there's no feathers on either one of them boys.
You know, we want to answer that question again. What do the Busch guys think about the Busch Cup guys driving through the first 4 positions? Those guys are really tough on this racetrack. And that goes to just running lap after lap. And Buddy did a segment at the top of the show about the radial tires. This is where it shows up. Being used to running a radial on this particular racetrack.
Mike, I seem to be right about needing those right side tires too. Dale Jarrett looked like he's stretching the lead instead of losing it. So once again, I was right about how many tires it's going to take. It seems that the worn tires are just as good as brand new ones.
I think one thing that might enter into that is the new tires really buying the car down a little bit more, and he's running freer probably on the old tires. I don't know how he's going to be after he gets them good and hot, but he's sure pulling away from them now.
Dale Jarrett opening up one of the biggest leads of the day. As you watch a little further back, Irvin and Rusty Wallace in relief of Kenny.
Now, what this will do, a lot of these crew chiefs will watch what Dale's doing now, and they'll say, okay, let's don't stop. The track positions is a lot more important than just coming in and getting tires. Seems to be working good. Must be a great tire for here.
Here's Harry Gant moving up. Back into contention. Closing up on Earnhardt. He's the 5th place car. Mr. September.
I think Dale worked on his car, Earnhardt, and I don't think it's working like it was before he stopped. Now Gant seems to be well, and he was all over the racetrack just before that stop. They adjust on these cars all the way through the race.
A little further back in the middle of this pack sits Darrell Waltrip, back in 23rd position. All these cars, most of this pack is on the lead lap. That's Bill Elliott just ahead of Waltrip on the inside. No, check that. That's the 58 car. That Packard had a bit of trouble getting around Lonnie Rush's machine.
He don't have much to lose. He's already knocked the left side off that thing, so he's just racing like crazy now.
They're running so close you can't read the numbers, Mike.
No.
These guys are leaning on each other every lap.
And Darrell tries the high side. Way up there out of 4.
The difference, we talk about the tie-in between this place and Dover being 1 mile racetracks, the big high bank. The difference is this particular track here, you can use that high lane. We're seeing guys be successful 1, 2, and 3 lanes high, so they're able to use all the racing surfaces this particular racetrack.
Halfway this time by. 99 laps down, 197. Make up the distance here at Rockingham. Pat from New Jersey wanted to know, how is it that Rusty's allowed to drive Kenny's car?
Well, this is not like pro football or anything else where you put in the backup quarterback. You have one guy that's the designated driver for that thing, and you got to be realistic. Here's a guy running for the championship that gets injured, and you can't just say, well, hey, he got injured, he's out of the championship, and that would be what it amounted to. If he couldn't start, he'd lose the championship. So they have a clause in there where you can put a driver, a relief driver in the car. And it's not just for the guys for the points championship. It's all, if the guy running 20th got hurt, he can use a replacement driver.
It's just like a pitcher in baseball. They start the game, they have 2 bad innings. They bring another pitcher in, he wins the game, but the guy that started it gets, you know, he gets a win. So that's how it is.
Right. And there is Kenny Wallace on the sideline. The NASCAR rule also states that the relief driver must be qualified to race in the series and must have either already competed in this race or at least practiced one of the cars for this race.
Well, as they said, Rusty did quite a bit of testing in the car, or he couldn't have got in it, you know, just cold turkey.
Ernie Irvin and Rusty Wallace battling along.
I think Kenny was over telling everybody, boy, I got my brother really running good here today.
Likely so. There they are, second and third. And Bobby Labonte is back in 8th. That is not enough of a difference to change the point lead.
There he goes. I tell you, Rusty's on the move right now. It seems that car on the outside, Neil, is the car that goes under him just cannot make that pass without really, I guess they're going to have to take a little more racetrack than they're taking, but these guys are used to racing with these. Oh, he let him go.
Well, if it ended right now, Bobby Labonte would be 19 points ahead. He came in here 42 points ahead.
That's probably why Mr. Labonte was shaking his fist earlier when this was happening.
Well, Bobby has an older brother, and he's here. Terry running tomorrow in the Winston Cup race. We had a call from Maine about Ricky Craven, the Busch North champion, came down here, did not make it into this field, but he will start 34th in the Dick Moroso car tomorrow in the Winston Cup race. There's Bobby Labonte battling Ward Burton. And this will be at 6th position. Two cars that ran well in the first 75 miles of this race. And running just back off the leader.
Neil, you sound like you know something here. I tell you, that may be why you want as many races here, is that you understand the racetrack, but my theory's coming back now. The 36 car is definitely running down Dale Jarrett. And I think you said it, as the tires get hotter and they're worn already, they're going to give up a little more than the new tires do.
You know, Rusty's showing a lot of strength, but I do think Dale did slow down just a little bit, but I think Kenny's going to see his race car lead the race here just a little bit.
Don't you know he's got to be feeling good about that.
Dale Jarrett is the leader at 106 laps. Has 3 Busch Grand National wins, Rockingham, Darlington, and Bristol. Until this year, he'd never won more than 2 in a single season, and he's already got 3. And Rusty Wallace running right behind him. Rusty has never won a Busch Grand National race.
And I almost questioned that when I saw that note, but I don't guess he has. But well, he's sitting in a position to do it today.
No, he's not.
Oh,
even if he wins this race, he won't win it. Kenny Wallace will get credit for the victory. The starting driver gets all the points and all the money.
You guys are too technical.
Rusty has certainly run Dale Jarrett down. Good struggle back behind them. We'll pick up in a moment. But that is a tight battle for the lead.
Yeah, this won't last very long. He's able to stay a little bit lower in the corners, as you see. I think Rusty's car is really working better than Dale's car is.
Let's show you where your favorite Busch Grand National driver is running as of the halfway point. Dale Jarrett, the leader. Rusty Wallace just about a quarter panel away from the front spot as they come past.
And that was what you was talking about earlier today, but it didn't work. Yeah, it did. He went right on by. He used that lower line like you talked about all four.
You hit him off at the pass.
That's why you won here and I didn't.
Yeah, but it was just by 6 inches one time.
109 laps complete. And we'll bring you that roll of the field in a moment. But it's now Wallace out front. Now, there are 3 Wallace brothers in this race. Mike Wallace is here, driving Jack Ingram's car. Kenny Wallace started the 36, and now Rusty is in relief. Here's Steve Evans.
Well, that is a pretty terrific relief driver you've got in there.
Well, my mom and dad planned it that way, you know, to have 3 good race car drivers. You know, I just hated that I'm in here, but, you know, this is a great situation. We got to keep our eye on the 44 car. We're running for a championship. And Rusty has never won a Busch Grand National race in his career. Maybe today might be it, and my race car would be great.
Are you on track with your pit strategy, do you think?
Well, you know, the race just pretty well dictates it. This is really weird for me being in here. I'm not used to this. It's kind of neat to watch all the guys, but you know, the track is really hard on the tires, and I can feel what Rusty's probably feeling right now. When the track's greasing up, he's just sliding a little bit better than everybody else. Rusty's got a lot of savvy. He can drive the wheels off of a race car.
I'll tell you what, when you're not in the car, the laps go a lot slower, right?
Oh, man, this is terrible.
Mike Joy?
Well, taking the lead could be very important to Kenny Wallace. There's a 10-point difference from first to second place in this series, unlike the Winston Cup. And if the race ended right now, Bobby Labonte's point lead would be cut to 8 points. Here's a look at where your favorite driver was running at the halfway point as we continue to watch Rusty Wallace lead.
And he said he's out sliding them, and he's certainly doing that. He's you don't see the car moving around a lot. I think when you're in the car, you say, boy, this thing's really shoving the nose. It's really breaking the rear loose. It's not visual from the outside of the car, but the drivers can feel that. But he's just beating them all the way around the racetrack right now.
They're folding up the equipment down at Davey Allison's pit. Maybe they know something we don't.
Well, if they pay for the most distance traveled today, I feel Harry Gant's going to win that because he's sliding from the bottom of the racetrack all the way to the wall every corner.
Yeah, if they had an odometer in Earnhardt's car, he's probably running about 1.25 miles per lap. Nancy from West Virginia wants to know if the Winston Cup drivers use their Sunday pit crews on Saturday. I guess they use a couple of guys, but not the whole pit crew.
A lot of them do. A lot of them have regular crews for their Busch Grand Nationals also. You know, these guys that work on Sunday for Winston Cup have to come from somewhere. So this is a perfect training ground for the driver and the pit crew.
And also, Mike, one thing that enters into that, there was a practice session for Winston Cup just before this race, and they're down there. Most of the crews are changing their engines and putting the race motors in the Winston Cup cars. So they can't leave that Winston Cup car and come over and work on the Grand National cars. So most of them are down there working on their own Winston Cup cars right now.
So they are largely different pit crews. Leaders lapping David Green's automobile. In the rookie battle, Green has made a couple of unscheduled pit stops. He is presently 32nd, 2 laps down. While the other rookies behind the wall, Jeff Gordon, Tracy Leslie is still out there on the lead lap in 15th place. Bill Parsons carrying us around in 8th position in his Oldsmobile with the AutoZone in-car camera. Battling along there as they come off the corner. We have completed 117 laps with the Wallace brothers car in the lead. We'll be back to Rockingham right after these messages.
It's great. They fixed up that old truck, went out for their big driving lesson. You know, they'll never forget this day as long as they live.
Here's to fathers and sons, first-time driving lessons and comfortable blue jeans. Wrangler.
Introducing a car so intelligently engineered, its elegance and grace can be measured along these lines or graded on a curve. The 1992 Oldsmobile 88 Royale. Beautifully redefined and nimble enough to prove that a straight line isn't always the best way to get from point A to point B. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
The American Society for Testing and Materials set a new technical standard for antifreeze used to protect heavy-duty truck engines against boiling, freeze-ups, and corrosion. Only one of the 3 best-selling antifreeze brands made for cars meets that standard. It's the patented car antifreeze that can also keep heavy-duty engines running at their peak. Protect your engine from freeze-ups and boilovers. Remember the heavy-duty standard. Don't stop short of the peak.
This is Control. Go ahead.
We've got trouble.
What's the point of origin?
Japan.
Stand by. I'm patching you through to Command Center.
We've got to find it.
We'll have it tomorrow.
Tomorrow's too late.
You inform headquarters?
They're working on it. Hold on. You've got something. Quick, check the vehicle ID number.
That's it.
With more parts for more import cars than anybody else.
We got it.
Napa is a domestic solution to an international problem.
122 laps on the board. You're watching the 13th place car, Bill Elliott, in that unfamiliar looking number 84. We're so used to seeing him in number 9, and to answer the question from Kathy in New Jersey, don't think he'll get to keep that number next year. The number goes to the car owner, not the driver.
That's right, but you might see that color scheme in Winston Cup next year if that tips anybody to which car he'll be driving.
Chances are. No announcement till after Atlanta. That's what we're told by the folks in the Elliott camp. That's the Bill Elliott Ford sponsored car out there today. And there's Rusty Wallace putting a second lap on Cecil Eunice in the 19 car on the high side, and then jumping right underneath Darrell Waltrip.
That's a bad feeling when you're the guy up on top just struggling along and somebody just cranks it down, drives under you, and I might be wrong, but I think he'll drive away right here because he's really hooked up on the bottom of this racetrack.
73 laps to go at Rockingham, and the report from Nashville, we have a backlog of questions and calls for our 800 number. So they ask, please, no more calls during this show to our 800 question line. The viewer hotline will be up and in operation tomorrow. During our telecast of the AC-Delco 500, we'll invite your calls at that time, but now they say they have quite a backlog, and please, no more calls. Dale Jarrett there in second place going by. And here's Earnhardt coming up on Robert Presley. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Guys, I'm down in Dale Earnhardt's pits. This is not a real happy crowd down here right now. When Earnhardt last pitted, they put on a fresh set of tires. What little stagger these radial tires do have was messed up in the tire change. He's got an extremely loose race car out there right now. They're sitting here waiting and praying for another caution flag so they can get back in, change, put on another set of tires, readjust that stagger. In the pit next to us, car number 99, Jeff Burton, who had made his way up in the 5th spot. The engine went sour on that car. They've got it behind the wall now, trying to get him back out into the battle.
70 laps to go here at Rockingham. Jeff Burton going behind the wall, and there's Earnhardt, who's currently posted in 10th place.
It's hard to believe when we talk about these cars don't have any stagger that they can affect the car that much.
Here's the race for 7th spot, we're told. Phil Parsons going by Troy Beebe, who I believe is a lap down. Troy is 2 laps down as Parsons goes past him there. And now he pulls up on the 87 car. This will be for 7th place. That's the Joe Nemechek machine, the Lozito's Pharmacy Chevrolet.
To give you a good idea about what Phil's doing, though, he's ahead of Earnhardt now, so he's on the move. He's doing a very good job.
And Nemechek's had a great season as well in his sophomore year on the Busch Series.
He was caught up in one of the big wrecks at New Hampshire. You know, he was right in the thing and had a chance to win the race.
That's Nemechek in 87, and here's the view out the windshield of Phil Parsons' car number 29.
You see the back of that car swerving, and from here it looks real smooth, but when you get in the race car behind one, you can watch the back end of the car just wiggling around. I tell you, that guy's busy there.
But you don't much feel that in the seat, do you?
Oh yeah, you feel every time it moves, believe me.
That's when you're calling the crew and say the back end's jumping out 2 feet. It's probably moving around 2 inches.
Bobby Labonte's coming back up through. He has passed Ernie Irvan and now goes into 4th place. Irvan dropping to 5th. Labonte coming to the front. This race may have little or no effect on the point standing.
We were joking earlier, you know, we said, well, he's got another brother too. Well, this young man right here is plenty capable of running his own race car. And he's got after that thing now, and he's headed up front. When he sees him, Rusty leading this race, he knows what he's got to do. He's got to get up here and challenge him.
Moving up on Darrell Waltrip now.
Yeah, and that's Harry Gant right in front of him, you know, in third place. So he's running really well now.
That was Harry going along, sweeping the wall off right up there in front. Every time he goes in the corner, he goes in the bottom a little bit, and you think he's fixing to wreck, but all he's doing is going to be knocking the dust off the walls. It's not so bad at this end. Down in the first and second turn, he's scraping that wall just about every lap anybody.
Well, that's not a thing of beauty, but I'll tell you one thing I found out about Harry Gant. He never gives up. I believe he'd go bear hunting with a switch. He's got to be strong to drive that car as fast as he's handling right at the moment.
Look at that line. You sure we're not at Dover?
That was one of the lower lines. The lap before that, he was up high.
There's Bobby Labonte, the man who's trying to nail down his first Busch Grand National Championship. And up he comes on Harry Gant. 133 laps complete. 64 to go at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. TNN 5 coverage returns right after these messages.
The tradition continues.
I've got friends in low places.
The stars you enjoy, the music you love. The Grand Ole Opry Live, Saturday nights at 8:30 Eastern on TNN. It's a special edition of the Texas Connection, hosted by the one and only Jerry Jeff Walker. On a 1-hour special, join Jerry Jeff and his special guests, Willie Nelson.
On the road again.
And Chris Christopherson.
Heading for the train.
The Texas Connection Special, tonight at 10, 9 Central on TNN, the Nashville Network.
I'm trying to reach TNN.
Oh, you're not dealing with TNN.
Well, I am now.
It's the Williams and Reed Comedy Central Special, starring Bruce Williams and Terry Reed.
This lovely outfit, the split bosom career coordinate.
Yes.
And Elvis.
Well, they have the news, and good night, Elvis.
Good night, Elvis.
Williams and Reed Comedy Central, Wednesday, 8, 7 Central on TNN.
At the North Carolina Motor Speedway, third place has just changed hands in the AC-Delco 200. Our coverage is brought to you by new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car. And there's the battle. Bobby Labonte has just worked his way underneath Harry Gant. Wasn't room to go outside him.
Now, if he passed him on the outside, he'd be scrubbing some concrete, I promise you. Drove down under him and was going right on away from him now.
There's our battle still for 7th spot. Bill Parsons carrying our AutoZone onboard camera. And Joe Nemechek just dancing around through the corners there.
That car has the characteristic of an earthworm there coming off the corner. Did you see it?
I've driven a few of those earthworms.
Rusty Wallace leads this race in relief of his brother Kenny. He's led 25 of 135 laps. 19 of our 42 starters are on the lead lap. 17 lead changes. Very competitive 200 miles here. Average speed slowed by 4 cautions for 17 laps. And into the wall goes Nemechek. He got way loose there right in front of Bill Parsons. Just wagged it and around it went.
You think there might be a chance we got a picture of that? We've been watching it all day. We'll probably have some of that. But he had been loose, and it finally got away from him, buddy.
Woo. I'm telling you, that car was just, it had to happen. If it's bad enough for us to see, it's terrible.
That happened in turn number 4, the 1990 Rookie of the Year, Joe Nemechek. Let's have another look.
He's going around the outside of the car, which makes the car even looser.
Yeah.
And there it goes. It broke loose. He tried to overcorrect it. And right there, boy, now he was lucky up there. Let's see what happens on this end.
Ooh.
Oh, and he's lucky in the middle. And even though he spun out, he better be celebrating.
I think we'll call him lucky, period. He missed it twice there, the wall and the car on the inside. Jeez.
Make that Mr. Lucky.
That's a little bit of that characteristic of that radial tire. Once you bust it loose, you can't get it back. He overcorrected, it swished out to the right, and it was gone.
Now, the best view in the house was the one Phil Parsons had, and you shared it with him.
Or the worst view. Let's see what it looks like.
Whoops, it's already over with there. All he does the rest of the way is just go through the formalities of wrecking.
That's the best. That's the best view. He's gone. Yeah, he was wrecked. He just had to finish it up off camera.
No damage for Joe Nemechek's car as it slides along there. But a lot of the teams have taken to pit road.
I got to point out something. I really hate to see the Bodine car just overshoot the pits with the brakes locked up, and he had to go back around, so that's going to hurt him.
Todd Bodine had a great race going here today. It seemed though he was always just out of camera range. We'd show you the top 5, he'd be 6th. We'd show you the top 4, he'd be 5th. But he had a great run going here today. Kenny Schrader we haven't seen much of, just making a pit stop. And again, he's had the same problem. So while we're under caution, let's go back to that race summary, fill you in a bit further if you joined us late on what's been happening here at the Rock. These are the cars out of the race. Davey Allison, Morgan Shepherd, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Hensley, Mike Swain, Tommy Ellis, Mike Wallace. That is the Jack Ingram car. Looks funny to see it brown and white without its skull markings and Jack in it. Chuck Bound lasted 1 lap and poured the Nescafe car into the garage area. Todd Bodine back into pit road, so is Tommy Houston. On this lap of caution, 142 complete. Darrell Waltrip and Tom Peck, sponsored by the fan club of McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania. Making his stop. And while we're under caution, let's take this break. North Carolina Motor Speedway, 142 laps complete. Rusty Wallace, the leader, Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte. We'll be right back.
As cars get older, they may need higher and higher octane, or they can't perform like they used to. But there is a gasoline specially formulated to control this higher octane need while providing the highest level of engine cleanliness. Texaco System 3. You get great performance in every octane grade.
Still think all gasolines are the same?
Cold filtered. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
If you can't wait, you need the News Weekly of Motoring, Auto Week. If you can't wait for driving impressions, get Auto Week. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them first. If you can't wait for car news, get Auto Week. Auto Week covers it all. The great old cars, the auto shows. Auto Week's columnists are controversial and fast. And if you can't wait for racing news, get the News Weekly of Motoring. Auto Week races to bring you the winningest coverage first. If you can't wait, get Auto Week, the News Weekly of Motoring. Now, call 1-800-851-2600 for this TV race weekend special. Get Auto Week at the lowest price ever, $17.95 for 52 issues. But don't wait. This offer expires midnight on Monday. Get Auto Week at the lowest price ever. Call 1-800-851-2600.
In 1 lap, we'll be racing at Rockingham, and the leader is Bobby Labonte. Got the quick pit stop and went to the head of the class. Harry Gant is 2nd. Ernie Irvin is 3rd. Dale Jarrett is 4th. Kenny Wallace is 5th. Here's a list of drivers that have led this race. Some, like Rich Burgess, under the caution. Many under the green, and add a few more names to that list. Like Jarrett, Wallace, Labonte, and Todd Bodine. Getting set to go back to green.
And Bob Labonte is not shaking his fist at anybody now. He's all happy. His son's back up there in front.
Bobby Labonte had the car to beat here in the spring, but spun with only a couple of laps to go. Ended up finishing 4th. He is on the point. Harry Gant in 2nd, Ernie Irvin, Dale Jarrett, and then Rusty Wallace in 36 in relief of brother Kenny. And somebody just came flying up the inside on that restart.
That's who it was.
Tom Peck.
No. No, Phil Parsons.
Was it?
We'll wait and see what happens here. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the flag stand working a little bit.
That little grass and dust on his car from the in-car camera. No, going to be okay. Got a good restart. Picked up a bunch of spots. There he is up under Tom Peck and right behind Rusty Wallace.
He's behind the right guy because Rusty's the one really been on the move. If he can follow him. But are they going to close the door? No, he got his foot in the door before they closed it. So he's going with Rusty.
Well, Phil Parsons got a great restart. Up front, it is Bobby Labonte and Harry Gant. He's going to have to call him Mr. Fall Season. Never mind
Never
Mr.
say
September.
die, Harry. That's him right there.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Loose.
Watch Handsome. What did he do? Did he pop him a little bit coming down that corner?
I tell you, I believe he just got him real loose. He got so close. I don't know if he got on him or not. It looked like he just got real loose.
Caution is out. One car has spun at turn 4, and 3 more have wrecked. One of them is Tommy Houston. Richard Lassiter is there. And once again, that 58 car, Lonnie Rush.
Back to the auction.
Got the other side of it. Running back to the flag.
Yeah, there's some drivers trying to get a lap back, but they're not going to be able to do it.
Bobby Labonte and Harry Gant bring them back to the flag. Tommy Houston goes straight to pit road. Houston is in danger of having his first losing season in some time in this series. Has gone winless all year long. Well, in the spring race, it was Bobby Labonte and Dale Jarrett fighting for the lead. Labonte spun, went back to the 4th spot. Just now, he and Harry Gant went at it. Here's a replay of the caution.
At the tail end of it.
That's what you call a
some cars in the
punch.
back really stacked up here in the back. I'm telling you, they're
58 car had to hit him one more time.
Finish him off.
4 cars involved. You see Tommy Houston, Richard Lassiter, and Lonnie Rush. There was one other car involved, but it's still parked at the bottom of turn number 4.
Let's say these car owners with their handkerchief out, they're not wiping sweat, they're wiping their eyes. These are tires they're having to buy every time these yellow flags come out.
They might be surrendering with the white flags at the price of tires.
Pit stops again, this time for left side tires. Among those in, Bobby Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Tracy Leslie, the leading rookie in this race. Among the rookies, David Green still running, and Jeff Gordon behind the wall.
Harry Gant won the race out of the pits.
I was kind of shocked. I saw Harry try to go low a while ago. His car had been down there all day long. But one reason I made that call, buddy, you have to speculate and say, man, he got him loose, because of all people, Harry is probably the least likely to bump anybody in a situation.
I know
like
Harry
that.
didn't hit him. I tell you, when you take the air off the spoilers, you know yourself, and the car gets terribly loose.
Let's point out that car at the bottom of turn 4 is Robert Huffman that was also involved. He's from just up the street here. And that's the car in turn 4. That was the other car involved in this incident.
There's quite a bit of fluid down there in the corner. Some must have busted a few oil coolers and stuff down in that area. They're going to have to put a lot of oil dry down.
Here's Phil Parsons, and he had such a great restart coming up to 6th position from well back at 10th or so. Let's see if we can get a look at it. Listen to see when he hits that throttle.
That's the apron. He's on the apron of the racetrack. That's not the racing surface.
And he had to lift to get back in line.
Well, it's like going on the interstate. You merge if there's an opening or not. You're going in.
I thought he might take the lead.
I think Phil caught him one gear sleeping. Back there, you heard that. Was that second gear restart?
Restart them all in second gear.
It was a good one. We are under caution at 150 laps of the North Carolina Motor Speedway. TNN's live coverage of the AC-Delco 200 continues after these messages.
Just a reminder, proper maintenance with AC-Delco parts can significantly reduce premature wrinkles. AC-Delco, it's like buying time.
Living, no better way to face the day.
The morning belongs to Skin Bracer Aftershave. Its cool, brisk tingle really gets you going. And what a great scent. Skin Bracer.
No better way to face the day. Find it.
The temperature never drops below Xerex.
That's important to remember at a time like this, when it's very dark and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
Due to TNN Motorsports' live coverage of Sunday's AC-Delco 500 race, American Sports Cavalcade, usually seen Sundays at 3 p.m., will be seen this week on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on TNN.
It's a 5 o'clock world when the whistle blows.
One of country's newest hunks does his version of a 60s pop hit. Hal Ketchum stars on stage at the Grizzly Rose in Denver, Tuesday on TNN. Country's most awarded group comes to TNN.
If she's guilty, so am I.
Every Saturday night, join the Statlers for comedy, variety,
I can't believe it.
superstars,
When you get to the heart.
and your favorite Statler hits.
So hello.
The Statler Brothers Show, Saturday nights at 9, 8 Central on TNN.
Trouble on the Tom Peck car as we come back. It's Ray Schuff, the photographer for Speedway Scene, leaned in to ask Tom what the matter was, and it looked the right front wheel was all locked up as he came down pit road after making his stop.
I think what happened there during the pit stop that they made, maybe a lug nut got up in the hat of the brake and locked that wheel up. If he could have backed up far enough, I think he would have probably thrown it out of there.
But, so the crew is now down with Tom Peck's car at the far end of pit road, and they'll try to get him back out. Here's a look at Dale Earnhardt, who's now up to 7th spot after falling back in the pack earlier. Glenn Jarrett has the story.
This is Tony Urey, the crew chief on Dale Earnhardt's car, number 3 Goodrich Chevrolet. Tony, Dale had a little tire problem early on. Do you have the problem straightened out now?
Yeah, we got a bad right rear tire on it. I don't know what the problem was. It just wouldn't hook up. The car was real loose. We wasn't sure which one it was, whether it was the right rear or the left rear, but we changed the right, sir, and he said that fixed it, and then we had another caution, so we got 4 new ones on it now. We ought to be set to go.
Do you think he's got something for him now?
Well, if they don't run no faster than they did that last session, I believe we do. Now, if they didn't find anything, we'll be all right.
Okay, he says they're going to get him.
Well, that 58 car, I don't think it's going to the auction. It went off on the hook pretty banged up. And a question from Texas, what happens to wrecked race cars?
They put them in the old wrecked race car graveyard. They just junk. I wrecked so many up at Juniors. We had a place out back. We just stored all ours. But if they're not torn up too bad, they'll take them and put new snouts on the front, some rear clips, and then can use them over again. But when one's damaged too bad to repair, it's just junk.
The big commercial trash hauler that hauls the garbage around Charlotte from commercial companies. They asked Todd Bodine what happened to his favorite race car there, and he said it's gone to the great BFI in the sky.
I had one we wrecked in Daytona 2 years ago, and the kids come by and took quarter pounds to show and tell at school.
There you are.
I never did believe a big enough piece to take to school. My problem.
From Pennsylvania, the question comes, why aren't there brake lights in the rear window of these cars for safety's sake? Richard wants to know.
Buddy and I were talking about that before. You know, if they won't tell you the truth, when you ask one of these race drivers something, you know they'll mash that pedal when they're not going to stop. So you could put a switch or anything and put the wrong light up there.
The sports cars have brake lights, and we used to have, well, not we, but I knew guys that used to have a little thing in the wire so they could light up the brake light when your foot wasn't on it and hopefully distract somebody behind you. In any case, coming up later today, following TNN Motorsports live coverage of the AC-Delco 200, American Sports Cavalcade, coverage of the NHRA Super Nationals at Colorado's Brandomere Speedway. Don't miss this special Saturday edition of American Sports Cavalcade, 4:35 p.m. Eastern Time here on TNN. Here's one that's coming by on the hook and going to the great BFI in the sky. That's Richard Lassiter's car, and wow, he really got the worst of it. See the wrecker hauling him along down the front straightaway, and the track crew following right behind to pick up any littered pieces that come off.
I think they're following along to put out the fire. The real tires aren't turning on the car, and they're just dragging it. It's really unusual not to see 2 wreckers pulling one in a situation like that.
They may get another one.
Neil, I believe the back end of that car is hurt as bad as I've ever seen one. He just did not even have a back end.
Thank goodness for the fuel cell. The fuel cell area right here in the back we're looking at is compressed probably in about 6 inches, and we don't have any fuel coming out.
Brock Yates.
Well, Mike, down here in the Bobby Labonte pit, everybody looks pretty cool right now, but we had a little bit of a tense section there during that last stop. They came in for left side rubber and a splash of fuel, and the left front tire, they dropped one of the lug nuts off, and the tire man had to scramble around and rethread that lug nut. And as you guys know up in the booth, that can be critical. It was about a 4-second time loss, and that dropped Bobby back a little bit. It probably hasn't turned him too much, but it permitted both Rusty Wallace and Harry Gant to get out ahead of him, and now he's got a little bit more work to do. Now let's go to Steve.
Well, you know, guys, I've got my cellular phone. I've been trying to dial that 800 number, but Mike said to stop and wait till tomorrow. But I got a question, in that I don't have my 200-pound NASCAR rule book. We know that Kenny Wallace, because he started that car, will get all the points. The money goes to us. He owns the team. But what will the record book say for years to come? Will it say Kenny Wallace? Wallace? What will it say? Who gets credit for the win?
Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Wallace.
The driver who starts the car gets it all, even if he just takes the green flag.
So Rusty still hasn't won his first ever.
Yeah, one of the best drives I remember was put on by Brett Bodine at Martinsville, I believe in relief of his brother Jeff. It was something like that. He had a great deal, his first time in a Cup car, and had a great drive, and won't ever get the credit in the record book. I think another deal like that with Terry Labonte. Similar deal, where the relief driver really ran the day, but it's not his name in the book.
Was at Dover, Delaware one time, and it was about 90 degrees during the race, and so many people got out of cars and started getting in other people's cars. I passed my own car there one time.
You should have let it go.
Dick May drove 6 cars in that race, and none of them stayed under him to the finish. The last one finally expired 8 laps from the finish.
I would like to point out one thing. You see who's leading the race now? Joe Nemechek, number 87. The guy that we watched spin out a while ago. So that's what this racetrack can do. It can be good and bad.
Here was the deal. Jeff qualified the car. Jeff Bodine qualified the car, and the race rained out. They had to run the next week, so Brett got in the car and ran it. Had a great day, but didn't get the credit. Well, here's everybody trying to move up on the outside. The cars that are a lap or more down can move up to the outside lane.
This is the hardest race of the day. Everybody's fighting to start for a restart.
Well, except for the race out of the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
But that's coming. Now, Darrell, being only 1 lap down, tried to get a little further up to the front of the line than some of the cars 2 or 3 laps down, and now...
Looks like Darrell's losing caution race.
It's going to be the first 3-car race restart we've had in a long time, I guess.
No, he tucked in. Let's see if we get a green. Carter looking them over. Nemechek up front, and now they're pretty well settled in. Harry Gant in second. Dale Jarrett in third. 40 laps to go. They're coming awful slow off that 4th corner. Green flag. On the brake, Nemechek. And Gant gets pinned behind the lap car of Cecil Eunice. Phil Parsons' car running right behind Dale Earnhardt in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, Phil had an average restart that time. He just held his position, but before that was a great restart.
Dale Jarrett underneath Gant, that's 2nd place. Dale in the 32 car. And he'll get under Cecil Eunice as well. Gant in the wrong groove that time.
You know something I don't understand? Dale Jarrett runs so great in his Busch car here, and he never won a race here in Winston Cup, but he's won several of these races with Busch Grand National.
He runs well on this racetrack. He's outside of Harry Gant. Now there's a trick.
Oh, man. You better be glad Ernie gave him a little bit of room just then.
Irvin is 4th, and Wallace is 5th.
That's what you call give and take there. Ernie did him a real favor. He gave him a little bit.
From Phil Parsons' car, watching Dale Earnhardt on the outside.
We're sitting there watching a little bit of the same thing we saw earlier. Nemechek didn't come in there and get the tires. He's driving away from them. The new tires are supposed to make you move, but here's the same deal happening we saw earlier.
I think that's something to remember. If there's 10 laps to go, I believe I'd want to leave my tires alone.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th right there.
There's Nemechek's way out front on the old tires. So evidently, the new tires slow them down until they get some time on them.
It's almost like they take several laps to hook up.
I think the other thing we're overlooking is track position here. The cars 2nd, 3rd, 4th, they're racing side by side. And he's got track position right now, and he's running preferred group. We'll see when they get sorted out here what happens.
Remember, Cecil Eunice dropped in between Nemechek and Gant on the restart. the lap car. That held him back a bit. Riding along with Phil Parsons there. And back up front.
Now they got it in a line. We'll see if they can run everybody down here. Run the leader back down.
Joe Nemechek with about a 2-second lead. Dale Jarrett in second. Ernie Irvin third. Harry Gantz fourth. Fifth, Rusty Wallace. And sixth, Bobby Labonte.
Rusty doesn't seem to be as strong this time as he was the time before. And that goes right back to changing tires, different ones, hoping for the same.
They must have borrowed the tires that Earnhardt had on the stop before.
You always say, well, man, I'm going to put $1,200 worth of tires on it to be better. That's not always the case. Sometimes they're not, just don't work as well for you.
There's Joe Nemechek up front.
All right. That's what it's all about, guys, right there.
Did you see the little 87 on the bill of that hat? I wonder who she's pulling for.
This man right here. That is Joe Nemechek's mom.
I guess I know who she's pulling.
Wonder how much money it costs to buy that hat right now.
Not for love or money could you buy that hat. Martha Nemechek cheering on son Joe.
You better be taking pictures. You shoot the picture while you can.
That's right. His best finish this year, second at Watkins Glen, looking for his first career win. And it's only the fourth race he has led all year.
I got to tell you, I'm impressed. They're not closing the gap like I thought they would when they got sorted out. I think it will eventually run him down, but it's going to take some time.
Might be the same thing we saw earlier. After the old tires do get heat in them, they're not as quick, but it's going to take a little bit of time, it looks like.
And time is running out. 30 laps to go.
Well, if he wins this race, I don't want to see the car go across the start-finish line. I want to see his mother down there. I don't know what else you can do.
Jim Bound is going to loop it.
Whoa.
Coming out of 2.
Wow.
Out of harm's way. No caution. See if he can get that Buick refired.
And here's the guy that's hoping for no caution. He doesn't want to give that lead up.
No, Bound is moving. We'll stay under green.
That's a miracle right there to spin on the back straightaway and not get in the inside wall.
Yeah, because when you're in a race car, it looks about the width of a bowling alley.
I mean, did not even scratch it.
Now the caution is coming out.
Here comes Phil Parsons.
And it looks like Phil Parsons has lost. The other car is running as he comes down. Get the smoke out of his car. Channel 32 Oldsmobile. And we are
he's
under
got
caution.
some damage on the back of that car. He got into something pretty hard.
Something got into him pretty hard. The rear section's missing.
Oh, here comes Darrell. Is he trying to get his lap back? He sure is.
And got it back.
As the rest of the field eased off back to the line.
Uh-oh. This field
It's a
getting out.
bad sign when you start undoing stuff.
Well, Phil, thanks for the ride. Got some great pictures out of the in-car.
Yeah, wow.
Crinkled that one up a pretty good bit.
Something's been nipping on the rear of it there a little bit.
Black flag for Darrell, so.
And there's the reason perhaps for the caution, a piece of that bumper.
Apparently they black flagged Darrell for passing.
I think the caution came out the lap prior to this.
Well, it's worth a try, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, all of them down. Sometimes they tell you, driver, we're going to take the lap back you got plus another. We're going to let them see what they do.
Well, he thinks he's going to go to the rear, so he's pulling up there and stopping. So he's waiting on the lead cars to go by, and he'll go in the back.
Going to ambush him.
He saw Morgan park up there earlier, but
thought he could hide up in the shadows, huh?
He said, I didn't really mean to do that. He said, maybe if I wait on, they'll forgive me.
Sean from Washington wants to know why these cars don't have speedometers so they can obey the pit road speed limit.
I can tell you this. I'm glad they didn't have. Back when we run 215, 216 mile an hour at Talladega, I didn't want to know.
Yeah, I've been running there and they called and said 202, 28, 210, 250. I said, don't call me anymore. Sean, faster and faster. I didn't want to hear it.
Sean, if your street car has a tachometer, you can measure the RPMs at a given speed. And even if the speedometer breaks, as long as you're going that RPM in that gear, you'll be going that speed.
Mike, and all our life we've raced off RPM, and that's what we know when it's turning 78, it's running X amount of mile per hour, so it really works better for us.
Let's have another look at what happened. And you ask any race car, how fast you going? He'll say wide open. Oh, Tracy Leslie gets into Jim Bound.
Yeah.
And now we get to see Kenny Schrader.
Kenny Schrader did a great job, I'll tell you.
Yep, Schrader in 15. Well, that was that part.
There he is coming down the inside.
I'm going to ask him how he does it. I teach driving here, and I hadn't found out how to spin like that down here and not hit anything.
Hal Needham must have taught him. He didn't go to your school. He must have gone to Hal's. And in one lap, we'll go racing. Joe Nemechek up front, Dale Jarrett, and here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Phil Parsons, you had a great run going out there, but you're out early. What happened?
Well, I guess we broke the engine, and Glenn, I'd like to take this opportunity before we get back to racing. I'd like to thank my sponsors, WHOA, TV32, and Montgomery, and I'd like to thank Goodyear and Oldsmobile and all my crew, really. The car really ran good. We were looking, hopefully, at a top 5, but I hope the people at home got some good pictures from the in-car camera, and I'd like to thank AutoZone for sponsoring that.
Okay, back upstairs for the restart.
Thank you, Phil. We're back under green. Joe Nemechek trying to win his first Busch Grand National race. Here comes Kenny Wallace and Harry Gant out of the middle of the pack.
Yeah, he got on the apron. Rusty got right down under the bottom, went under him on the apron and cleared it.
One of those Phil Parsons restarts. 24 laps to go. And this time Nemechek has only a 4 or 5 car length cushion to work with.
But he did pull away, Mike. That's what I was kind of concerned. Before he got some break in traffic and got him some distance, this time he started with these guys on his bumper, and he's still showing the strength to pull away.
Down in turn 1, that'll be Waltrip way up high. Couldn't get his lap back. And they are scoring Darrell 1 lap down. Joe Nemechek led a good bit at New Hampshire last week.
Really had a good shot at winning the race and was involved in one of the big accidents. But, boy, I'm telling you, this is pretty impressive right now, pulling away with the guys on him on the restart.
Out of Lakeland, Florida, 2nd year on the circuit. Rookie of the year 2 years ago.
That's a beautiful sight to me to see number 87 in the lead. That was my father's number when he was racing.
And now, here, this comes back to the question of the Busch drivers, whether they want to run against the Winston Cup guys on Saturdays or not. If Joe Nemechek beats this field with all these Cup guys in it, he's really got something to be proud of.
Mike, how many weekend golfers would like to play golf with Don and Nicholas? And here's a guy that's out here running the best in the country and the opportunity there to win the race.
Now, that's not to say it wouldn't be a great feat to beat the Busch regular.
Whoa.
Motor in 3. Trickles.
And a lot of them more stacking up behind it.
Yeah, there's oil on the racetrack.
Schrader was in it. One more car involved. You can see that snail's trail coming down the track of oil.
And short couple on the rear right here.
Nemechek, you don't want to do this.
Schrader got into it. And one other car up there.
Boy, the back of
Look at Darrell trying to make that lap.
He's going to try it again. Darrell, you're a long way back this time.
Yeah.
I tell you, this fuel cell on this car right here is sitting on the ground again.
You know, we talk about this. If that had been 15 years ago, that guy would have got burned severely right there.
Here's Trickle going down in the corner. The motor's already gone. Now he's getting the oil on his own tires. Trying to get the car slowed down. Oil is pouring on the rear section of the car. And only one thing's going to happen.
But if that baby had a steel tank in it, it'd have been on fire as soon as it hit the wall.
Yep. Here he goes backing up. This is twofold. He's sitting there wrecking his own oil, and he's put down quite a layer, and there's going to be some more cars come stacking in behind him.
Man, what a lick.
Yep. Short couple, and I'm telling you, in a hurry.
7 Busch starts this year. Trickle's best finish, 2nd at Charlotte. And there's Tracy Leslie sneaking through on the bottom.
You know the thing about that accident, you see the impact there. You don't have to say he barely hit that wall or anything. You can see the impact. Watch the car. It looks like it wrinkles all the way the hood.
And that's not sheet metal in the rear. That's roll bars all the way the back bumper of these cars that folded up. Yeah, here's, like you say, cars coming right under him in the bottom of the racetrack. Luckily enough, they were below the oil. There's more behind him that really got caught in it. Here's a car coming down the apron below Tracy Leslie.
And they'll hook him up and haul him away, and we'll come back with about 20 laps to go to decide this one here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. We'll be right back.
Next week, Nashville Now stars Patty Loveless, Joe Diffie, the Oak Ridge Boys, the Forrester Sisters, and the new Hee Haw cast live next week on Nashville Now.
I have a lot of early influences. Basically, I grew up listening to anything I could get my hands on, whether it was folk music or choral music or bluegrass music.
You gotta come from the heart. You want it to work. You got to sing sometimes.
I try to find songs that make me feel strong emotions, and hopefully that will help other people to feel the same things.
Where have you been? I'm just not myself when you're away. No, I'm just not myself when you're away.
It's been great for all of us as artists, too, you know. I mean, I feel like I grew up on the Nashville Network. They started when I started.
"17 laps to go here at the Rock, which has pelted a number of cars today. 15 cars are on the lead lap. Nemechek, Jarrett, Irvin, Wallace, and Gant are currently the front five, followed by Earnhardt, Bobby Labonte. Bill Elliott is up there, Ward Burton, and Robert Presley. We're going to take another quick break so we can come back and bring you under green the finish of the AC-Delco 200. Rejoin us in just a moment.
Cold filtered. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
As cars get older, they may need higher and higher octane to perform like they used to.
But there is a gasoline specially formulated to control this higher octane need while providing the highest level of engine cleanliness. Texaco System 3.
You get great performance in every octane grade.
Still think all gasolines are the same?
John, how you doing? You know AutoZone customers are pretty special. I mean, they take great pains in doing a job just right. So they know exactly what they want. That's why we carry so many parts, and also why we price them so low every day of the week. Because you gotta admire a guy who'll tackle a job like putting in a starter, a water pump, a rack and pinion, and you gotta give a guy like that exactly what he wants. The right parts and the right price.
New Britain, Connecticut is 119 miles from New York City. It only seems farther than that. People here live in the same houses their parents lived in, worship in churches where their grandparents worshiped, and work for the company their great-grandfathers built, the Stanley Works. So it's not surprising Stanley tools are made to last. It would only be surprising if they weren't.
We're getting set for the restart. It'll be 14 laps to go, and if it ended right now, Bobby Labonte would leave here with a 28-point lead. Ernie Irvin and Rusty Wallace come way down to the inside on Dale Jarrett. Joe Nemechek, the leader. Clean into one. Wasn't much room there on the bottom.
3 or 4 abreast, and they got sorted out as they went in the corner.
Earnhardt and Gant ended up on the off on that one. It is Nemechek, but now he has Irvin in hot pursuit. Dale Jarrett in third, Wallace in fourth, Earnhardt fifth, Gant sixth, and Bobby Labonte seventh. Walter began way up toward the wall, and then Harry Gant cruised. Irvin gets to within a car length in the back straightaway, and he's coming.
And he's able to put a lot more heat on him than the other guys. Well, he's right up behind him now.
Ernie Irvin has never won a Busch Grand National race.
Now, that is hard to believe. I thought he'd won a little bit of everything.
Well, second at Indianapolis last year and third this year at Watkins Glen.
Well, you know, he should have won at Dover and had engine trouble with about 4 or 5 laps to go. He's up beside of him.
Ernie Irvin in the McTool Chevrolet underneath the Lozito's Pharmacy car of Nemechek. And Irvin goes to the front.
Boy, he's really getting around right now.
Yeah, he is.
11 laps to go.
Like they say, one thing that really affects these tires is the heat cycle. Run them one time, come in, run them one time, go out, cool them. These cautions will cool them down, and every time you do that, they fall off. Nemechek's had the tires on longer than anyone else. He might be paying the price right now.
Dale Jarrett now pulling up on Nemechek, the second place car.
I would think catching Ernie may be a little bit easier than trying to pass him this close to the end of the race. What they say, it'd be easier to take a bone away from the pit bull.
There's Gant trying the high side on Earnhardt to no avail.
They're wiggling on the high side.
The way these points sort out, Joe Nemechek, if he finishes in the top 10, will climb to third from 6th place in the point standings. That's how close things are in the Busch Series. One race to go, Martinsville, Virginia, next Sunday. And you'll see the Martinsville race here on TNN November 10th.
There's Gant. He's not wrecking, folks. He just likes it up there. Everybody goes in the bottom. He heads up top.
9 laps to go. Steve Evans.
Well, no matter what happens to Joe Nemechek, his mother, Martha, has won the Busch cheerleading competition. Martha, does he have enough left? Only a few laps remaining.
He's going to try. He's going to try.
All in all, it's been a great day for you all. The best you've run in a long time. She's too busy watching this race. Can you blame her? That's her little baby boy.
He is holding on to second place for all it's worth. And Dale Jarrett is right with him. Meanwhile, this man, Ernie Irvin, scoots out ahead of the field. There's the interval, and Jim Bound again in the back straightaway.
No.
He spun it again and didn't touch the wall, buddy.
No yellow yet. They're thinking about it. They got it in their hand, but they're not putting it out.
7 laps to go. And
no caution.
Good.
Good. I don't even like a race that ends on the yellow. I think the final should have to be run under green.
Boy, Nemechek's doing a good job of holding Jarrett off because Jarrett's car has really been strong all day long.
And Wallace right behind in third, or in fourth rather. Then Earnhardt, Gant, and Bobby Labonte.
Making a move up under him. Couldn't quite get up under him right there.
That's Dale Jarrett in 32.
Comes Harry Gant past, as you can see in the very end there. Harry Gant goes by Earnhardt.
They both
or
go
tries to go by. That's easier done said than done too.
I don't know how you're going to run on the outside again.
5 laps to go.
But Harry's sticking in the bottom, and he's just not run down there all day long. It's going, it's hard to believe he get the car to work there as well as on top.
Maybe it's like you said, he just likes it up high.
Likes to scare himself every lap.
Great side-by-side battle there.
Fixing a little bit of green, a little black mixed up here when these two get together. They're racing awful hard.
Yeah, and they're running up on the slow car right now, so this may
be the old basketball pick.
That's Tommy Houston.
Oh, no, that's room. There they go.
Gives them plenty of room. Right behind those two, I say right behind, but well back is Bobby Labonte, who has his hands full with Robert Presley. So Labonte may lose a spot before this one's over. 5 to go. Make that, 3 laps to go.
I'll say one thing about Nemechek. He has really battled to stay in second spot, I'm telling you.
Dale Jarrett, though, is underneath him, and that's the line.
Yep.
And here comes Wallace.
Yeah, that's the problem here. When you get moved over, several cars can go by, and he went from second to fourth in one corner.
And they are pushing Ward Burton's car to the garage. As we watch this battle between Harry Gant and Dale Earnhardt, 2 to go, and they're racing for 5th place.
Somebody forgot to tell them it's 5th. They must think it's reversed.
Well, Jeff Gordon got the Goodies Headache Award, the rookie driver. White flag coming for Irvin, and he's got about 7 car lengths on Dale Jarrett. Watching the race for 5th. There's Rusty Wallace in 3rd. Joe Nemechek 4th in this battle for 5th.
Here again has finally got by Earnhardt.
Bobby Labonte has dropped to 8th behind Robert Presley. Ernie Irvin looking for his first ever Busch Grand National victory. Back Tools team up on the wall, and Irvin wins it. There's the margin. Dale Jarrett finishing in 2nd. And Rusty Wallace taking 3rd for his brother Kenny, who will close up on Bobby Labonte in the point battle. Joe Nemechek is 4th. Harry Gant is 5th. Dale Earnhardt 6th. Robert Presley is 7th. Bobby Labonte is 8th. Bill Elliott finishes up 9th, and Todd Bodine 10th. Irvin becomes the 15th different Busch Grand National Series winner this year.
Well, that's saying something for the series, and that many different winners in a season.
What a year for Ernie. Daytona 500, road course, and now Busch Grand National. He just about covered the board as far as what we do around here.
Pretty well.
Nemechek going in. He's still, you know, I know he's disappointed about winning the race, but they sure had a good run today.
That they did. 17 cars finished on the lead lap. According to or rather 14 cars finished on the lead lap. 15th was Waltrip, 1 lap down. We'll get you a complete rundown, and also we'll have the starting lineup for tomorrow's AC-Delco 500. The way the points going into Martinsville, Bobby Labonte will have a 19-point lead. If he finishes 3rd or better, he'll clinch the title. Here's Steve Evans in victory lane.
From the pole to victory circle, it is Ernie Irvin, the Modesto Mauler, as I'm fond of calling him, as I followed this young man's career when I was living out in California, getting a brief drink of water, and certainly this number 10 car had what it took in the last quarter of this race. Great job, your first ever BGN win.
I tell you what, it's unreal. You know, this is the first time I ever even come close to winning a Busch race, and you know, it's my own car, and I owe it all to Larry McClure, Mac Tools, Chevrolet, and Carl Wagner, man. He built us one heck of a motor today, sat on the pole with it, ended up winning the race with it.
Was there any moment when you thought maybe you couldn't gun down young Nemechek? He was strong.
Yeah, Joe was strong. You know, I never really got a chance at him until I got around Dale, and you know, Dale Jarrett was holding me up a little getting in, and but Joe Nemechek did one heck of a job. He was, you know, holding his line real good, and I just got a good bite off turn 2, and took this Mac Tools Chevrolet to the victory.
And one of the most competitive Busch Grand National races we have ever seen here on TNN. Just a great race for the fans.
I tell you, I think me and Earnhardt ran about 50 or 60 laps at the beginning, side by side. Now I still don't think I got a scratch in the car. So, you know, that's what's neat about Rockingham. With the radials, you can get up there, and the high groove's as fast as the bottom groove, and that makes good racing for the fans.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, Mike Joy.
Ernie Irvin becomes the 5th driver to win this race from the pole in its 9-year history. We'll be back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway right after this word.
Radio, MRN.
This is Control. Go ahead.
We've got trouble.
What's the point of origin?
Japan.
Stand by. I'm patching you through to Command Center.
We've got to find it.
We'll have it tomorrow.
Tomorrow's too late.
You inform headquarters?
They're working on it.
Hold on. You've got something. Quick, check the vehicle ID number.
That's it. With more parts for more import cars than anybody else.
We got it.
Napa is a domestic solution to an international problem.
No better way to face the day.
The morning belongs to Skin Bracer Aftershave. Its cool, brisk tingle really gets you going. And what a great scent. Skin Bracer.
No better way to face the day. Find it.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember, especially at a time like this, when it's very deserted and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
Shower yourself with a new sensation. New refreshing Shield. Feel the blast. The high-energy beat of Shield's unique skin-vigorating formula. Refreshment that'll turn you around. New refreshing Shield.
Well, according to our unofficial tally, Kenny Wallace gained 23 points today on Bobby Labonte. Let's check down in the Wallace pit with Glenn Jarrett.
It's a pretty happy family reunion down here right now, guys. Kenny, you got to be awfully proud of big brother.
Well, I really am. You know, he did what we needed to. If we could come out here with any points, that's what we needed. But, you know, playing hurt and hell of a backup quarterback right here, I can tell you that.
Well, backup quarterback, that looked like you had a lot of fun out there today.
I had a lot of work to do out there. He finished second here last time, and doggone, he still beat me. I'm third, but you know, we gained some points on Kenny's friend, little Bobby, and he was 42, I think, ahead of us. I don't know what it is now, but I did all I could do, and we just got blocked in those doggone pits by a car on a pit stop, or else we could have cakewalked him, I think. This thing, Birdie really had this car handling. It was stuck like glue.
Well, now, Birdie is Steve Bird, who you can see in the middle of the two guys there. All in all, a good day for the Wallace family and Steve Bird. Let's go to Brock Yates.
Okay, Glenn, I'm with Joe Nemechek, who gave it such a good ride near the end. Those restarts, you look real stout, Joe, and then it looked like maybe the tires started to go away on you.
Well, the motor was excellent. I had the best motor we had in the car. I can't tell the motor builder enough. It ran perfect all day. The restarts, we just outpulled them. Yeah, we had new tires. We spun there 50 laps to go, and we got 4 tires. We flat spotted them all, so we ended up getting up in front, and it's the break we were waiting for. But there at the end, the car was good. After you run about 4 or 5 laps, things start pushing up right in the middle. And Ernie got his nose under me, and I couldn't do anything about it. And then Dale Jarrett got me a little bit loose going in, and it pushed up, and he got me there. I'm getting a lot of experience. I mean, I'm getting beat by the best there is right now, and we're still looking for that first win, and I think we're going to get it soon.
I think you are, too. It was a great, great show, and we know we'll see you back. Martinsville next week.
Yes, we went and tested there, and we've been real strong, and I just can't say enough for my crew, my sponsors, Lazito's and Melcon's Pharmacy. They picked us up the last 5 races, and I think I'm doing them a real good job, and thank you everybody else.
You sure are. Watch for this guy in the future. Joe Nemechek, back to you, Mike.
Great run for Joe, finishing in 4th place today. We'll have more from the North Carolina Motor Speedway right after this word.
Sometimes, without any warning at all, cars and trucks quitting before their time, before their owners get the most out of their investments. Maybe they don't know about AC-Delco, a full line of auto parts designed with proper maintenance to help your car or truck last. Maybe they should. AC-Delco. It's like buying time.
Before this, you never heard of cold filtered. Before this, you never heard of genuine draft taste in a bottle. Now hear this. Get out of the old, get into the cold.
Cold filter taste what it's all about. Never heat pasteurized, so the rich, smooth taste don't cook out. For those who discover its real draft taste, the world can be a very cool place.
Get out of the old, get into the cold. Miller Genuine Draft.
3. Davey Allison believes. Mario and Michael Andretti believe. Don Prudhomme believes. For complete protection, you need a complete motor oil. Havoline Formula 3 motor oil.
Yeah.
TNN Motorsports coverage of the AC-Delco 200 is being brought to you by new Havoline Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car. And by Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste, so get out of the old and get into the cold. Let's go down to the Grand National Garage area. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, guys, we're standing by with my favorite interview, my baby brother, Dale Jarrett. Dale, good, strong run in second today. Just didn't quite have enough for Ernie there at the end.
Yeah, the Nestor Sprung Pontiac ran good all day long, and I thought that I had enough for him, just couldn't get there. The car developed a push after that last restart, something it hadn't had all day, but the guys did a great job in the pits, and things went well. And, you know, we're pleased second. Ernie's a good race driver and just didn't have quite enough time to get back and race in there.
Well, he got you on the restart there. Looked like your car wouldn't take off quite as well on the restart.
Yeah, I think a little combination. The driver didn't do a good job, and the car didn't take off good all day long, but all in all, we're happy. So.
Okay, you can see that he is happy. I'll tell you, folks, he's a lot more fun to interview when he does well, because when he doesn't do well, he's a real bear. Let's go to Brock Yates.
Well, Glenn, I'm with Bobby Labonte, and Wallace has kind of ganged up on you a little bit today, although not really enough to change the points title or chase enough so that it's not going to be decided next week.
Well, you know, our Penrose Oldsmobile run good all day. You know, we outrun him there for a while and stuff like that. You know, it's just that, you know, right there, the last, under a restart, our car wasn't quite as good, and it really run after a few laps, and we were catching them at one time after about 30 laps, but we couldn't count a lot of green flags. It seemed like there's a lot of them out there wrecking today, but, you know, we broke a valve spring right there at the end of the race with 10 to go, and we couldn't keep up and lost a position, so really we couldn't gain nothing, but we did lose one, but hey, it's racing. We'll just get them next week.
Bobby, let me ask you, you're going down to a half mile now. We just ran a big mile with a high bank. Now we're going to a relatively flat half mile at Martinsville. How does that make you feel?
It don't matter to me. I like Martinsville, Rockingham, Daytona. It don't matter. Let's just go.
There's a race driver. Okay, let's go to Steve.
Well, I'm with Darrell Waltrip, as everyone can see. You didn't have a big time today in the Busch Grand National race. Maybe better things tomorrow.
Not a good day, but we've been off all week. We got here Thursday with that car, and we qualified real poorly. And there's something wrong with the car, and we just we couldn't fix it. I don't know what it was. It just never drove to suit me. Very uncomfortable on the racetrack, and we just never got it together.
The weatherman is calling for a 20-degree temperature shift. It's supposed to fall 20 degrees between now and tomorrow. How does that affect what you guys have to do?
It's never too cold to race. That's one thing about it. The temperature feels good in the car, you know. We put a little tape on the grill, get the engine temperature up at operating temperature, and it'll be a fun day to race, because heat is one thing that hurts not only the drivers, but it hurts the cars, it hurts the tires. So a good cool day is neat.
You know, I asked you some years ago why you run the Busch races, and you said it's like a piano player. Practice, practice, practice.
That's it. I mean, you know, we do a lot of things over there that in some ways help us over here. But bottom line is, I'm here this weekend. I'm here on Saturday. They're having a 200-mile race. I own a Busch car, so I want to be in the race. If they ran those cars with us every week, I'd run every week. So it's just a matter of habit, wanting to, chance to make an extra buck, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's just a lot of fun, and that's always done it, and enjoy it.
Spoken like a true racer. Okay, the Winston Cup cars are going out for their final warm-up. Here's Mike Joy.
Thank you, Steve. Let's have a look at the order of finish for the AC-Delco 200 today. Ernie Irvin, the winner. Dale Jarrett. Rusty, make that Kenny Wallace. He'll get credit for the finish, and he picks up 23 points on Bobby Labonte. Joe Nemechek, fine run for fourth. Harry Gant is fifth. Dale Earnhardt, the sixth place. Robert Presley nipped Bobby Labonte for seventh, so Labonte will carry a 19-point lead to Martinsville. Bill Elliott finished ninth, and Todd Bodine was 10th today. Dave Rezendes, good run for Rezendes, the Massachusetts driver. Butch Miller. Tracy Leslie was the highest placed rookie in the race. He'll move up a little bit in the rookie standings with that 13th place finish. Ken Schrader, there's DW, one lap down, 15th spot. Just could never get that lap back today. Steve Grissom wound up 16th. Jim Bound, after those two spins, was 17th. Rich Burgess, Billy Standridge, and Troy Beebe, the 20th place car, 3 laps off the pace. Then Ed Barrier, Ward Burton, who ended up this race in the garage, rookie David Green, Cecil Eunice, and Tommy Houston finished up 25th, 9 laps down. Robert Huffman, Tom Peck behind the wall, Dick Trickle, Phil Parsons lost an engine, Bobby Dotter out of the race. Then Jack Sprague, Richard Lassiter, Lonnie Rush Jr., who crumpled that car up pretty well today, Jeff Burton, and Davey Allison, both out with engine trouble. Morgan Shepherd parked up by the wall. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Hensley, tough day for the man who was in third place in the points. Mike Swaim and Tommy Ellis with a borrowed engine. It didn't go the distance. Mike Wallace in the Jack Ingram car, and Chuck Bound ran 1 lap today. We'll have more from the North Carolina Motor Speedway when TNN's coverage returns after these messages.
The tradition continues.
Country comes our song. Born in America and growing strong. It's about real people, you and me. It's about life and love and family. Listen to the heart of TNN. Listen to the heart of TNN.
commonly known. The heart holds everything we own. It's where the love is. It's where the light is in you. Oh, yeah. Listen to the heart of TNN. Listen to the heart of TNN. TNN, the heart of country.
The Statler Brothers Show, Saturday nights.
Well, here's a look at the Busch Grand National Series point standings as they'll go to Martinsville for the final event of the season. It takes place next Sunday, the Winston Classic, and you'll see it on TNN November 10th. Bobby Labonte leading Kenny Wallace. Joe Nemechek has bounced up to third from sixth. Jimmy Hensley is fourth, and Chuck Bowen is fifth in the point standings as they'll go to Martinsville a week from tomorrow. Along with the Winston Modified Tour, Mike Stefanik already the champion, and the late model stocks. Here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, the Winston Cup cars are out to practice for the AC-Delco 500 that they'll run here tomorrow. We're on the air at 12:30 Eastern Time tomorrow with complete coverage. And there's a look from out Rusty Wallace's Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac on onboard camera. And look at the face cam. And that's his own race car.
Not borrowing his brother.
No. His, Don Miller's, and Roger Penske. Here's Brock Yates.
Okay, I'm with Harry Gant. He's getting ready to go right back to work in his Winston Cup car. But good drive, Harry, all the way or in it. We thought maybe we were going to sneak up on him again.
Well, we thought I had a plan going there, but, you know, the restart, I got messed up. Then the caution came out. The car beat me back around to the flag, so that messed up my plan. But I had a good plan for 10 laps to go. I think would have been right there.
You and Dale were really going at it for a while.
Yeah, he passed me under the caution. I had to take it back away from him under green.
Okay, well, go get him. Good job. Okay, let's go to Mike Joy.
And there's a look out the bumper cam from the Rusty Wallace car. We'll be back with more from the North Carolina Motor Speedway right after this pause.
Indianapolis, Daytona, Talladega, Pomona, Baja. Why do we go to such distant places to put Craftsman tools to the test? If you're going to guarantee a tool forever, it's got to take the torture even guys like you dish out. 1,600 Craftsman hand tools, made in America, guaranteed forever, only at Sears. Besides, this kind of testing is fun.
Nighttime backache? Try Momentum Muscular Backache Formula. Momentum has extra medicine to help relieve your backaches so you can sleep.
My back feels great, and I slept like a log.
Momentum Muscular Backache Formula.
Come on in for a meal with real cheese appeal. It's Tuna Helper Cheesy Noodle. Noodles, real cheese in the sauce, and your tuna turn into a delicious meal.
Tuna Helper makes a great meal.
With real cheese appeal.
As you watch Winston Cup practice from Rusty Wallace's car, we've been conferring here on the Miller Genuine Draft pit crew of the race for today's AC-Delco 200, and Glenn Jarrett has the winner.
Okay, the happy young man standing next to me is Dennis Scamper, who is the crew chief on car number 87. Dennis, you guys have won the Miller Genuine Draft Crew Chief of the Race Award. Congratulations, a great day.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody on the team for doing a good job. Donnie, Kevin, John, Vic, everybody did a great job. We had a pretty good car today, and we got beat by the best, I think.
But you had a good car last week also. You were running right up front when you got knocked out. You guys were really on to something there.
Yeah, we had a pretty good car up there. I think we had a car to beat, but racing, that's what happens.
Well, with the late season success that you've had, you got to be excited about next year, too.
Oh, yeah, real excited. We got some good sponsor specs coming up, and I think things are going up and up.
Okay, on behalf of Miller and the guys from TNN, congratulations.
And really had him humming. If that last caution hadn't come out, Nemechek may have been headed for victory lane. So they did a good job today.
Yeah, I tell you, the car looked real strong the last couple of restarts. That last one, he just couldn't get away from it.
Nope. So Irvin won it. Nemechek ended up in 4th place today. Watching Rusty Wallace as he gets tire temperatures taken. He will start 9th here tomorrow. Kyle Petty and Ernie Irvin on the front row. What do we look for tomorrow?
More of the same. What you've seen today. Good hard racing. The points battle goes on, but I've heard Earnhardt say they're going to turn a little less RPM, but that don't mean a thing. That man's the racer. He'll be up front.
Going to run all day. What do you think, Neil?
I'll tell you what, these guys are going to be cut 500 miles at this place tomorrow. Is going to be a handful. Somebody's got their hands full if they're going to pull off a win tomorrow.
We hope you've enjoyed today's coverage of the AC-Delco 200. For Buddy Baker and Neil Bonnet, Steve Evans, Brock Yates, and Glenn Jarrett, I'm Mike Joy, congratulating Ernie Irvin on his victory in the AC-Delco 200.
AC-Delco 500 Sunday, 12:30 Eastern, live on TNN.
Diamond P Sports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
When the National
Home Improvement Loan.
It's a General Motors car. Don't get hassled when you finance a new car or truck. Get GMAC financing only at your GM dealer. Is there someone live I could talk with around
Do we
here?
have one of our calendars? This is a farm calendar. We also have what they call a print calendar. If I can only find it.
Ho, here we go!
You're dust, baby. Zombie Blitz! How you like me now, baby? Got good life insurance?
Call 911!
Sports Center is brought to you by GMAC, helping America put GM quality on the road.
College football scoreboard games underway. Pac-10, Arizona State trailing. Actually, it's now 10-0, we understand. It's a corrected score. 10-0, Washington State leads at halftime. UCLA and Oregon State. And that game up in Corvallis, UCLA leads it by 9 at halftime.
And recapping, Minnesota takes game 1 in the Metrodome by the score of 5-2. Jack Morris, the big winner in that one.
That's right. And Chuck Knobloch, the rookie, had a big night as well. Well, stay tuned. Live Grand Prix racing from Japan coming your way next here on ESPN. Let's take a look at the last out of Game 1 of the 1991 World Series as the Twins win and take a 1-0 lead.